Chapter 44:64. The ethereal peak was above their grotto heavens. However, many of their grotto heavens were also in the ethereal peak. For example, there were a few from the holy heaven's old ancestors' line in the ethereal peak. In fact, it wasn't just him. There were also people from Shue-Chi's line in the ethereal peak. It was the same for the other grotto heavens. It could be said that the relationship between the grotto heavens and the ethereal peak was very close. There were also people from the holy King Xing Chen's line in the ethereal peak. This was probably something that even Lin Xian didn't know. The ethereal peak. It was surrounded by mountains and empty valleys. The mountains were very steep. There was a mountain at the top of the clouds with a mysterious aura. This was the ethereal peak, a terrifying existence that was above the grotto heavens. In fact, in the hearts of countless grotto heavens, this was the true cultivation paradise. However, the ethereal peak was very strict in recruiting disciples. Most of the grotto heavens were peerless geniuses who entered through the assessment or recommendation. Only a few geniuses from the outside world entered directly. In the night sky, two figures flew past in an instant. They flew directly towards the ethereal peak. These two figures were riding on a huge gourd. They were as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, they shuttled through the void and arrived in front of the ethereal peak. There were clouds in front of them, and an array formation appeared. At the same time, there was a loud shout. "Who are you? How dare you trespass on the ethereal peak?" The voice carried the aura of a holy king. The two figures stopped. "It's us." The man took out the ethereal peak's spirit tablet and waved it forward. A ray of light streaked across the token and surged into the array formation. Not long after, the array formation split open, and people walked out from inside. It was young Master Xingqian and Princess Yuehua. "Please." Xingqian nodded, and the two of them flew in. "Young Master Xingqian, how was your trip to Mount Han?" A holy king smiled. After hearing this, Xingqian also said that it was not bad. To be honest, this trip was not in vain. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. After the two of them flew far away, Yuehua asked, "Senior brother, why are you so happy? We didn't seem to have obtained anything special. In my opinion, this Mount Han is just SOSO. It's not as good as the legends say." Stardust's eyes flickered. He was tall and handsome, and his eyes were like the brightest stars in the night sky. He asked, "What do you think of Shue-Chi? Are you talking about that ice mountain fairy? I've heard of her. It was said that she was an ice elemental saint and had great attainments in formations. Although she was still a disciple of the grotto heaven and had yet to join the ethereal peak, she was still a disciple of the grotto heaven. However, she was already a half-step Saint King, and with the strength of the Xianbing clan, it was only a matter of time before she joined Misty Peak." "Senior brother, are you interested in him?" "That's right." Stardust's eyes flashed with a bright light. When he returned, he would immediately ask the old ancestor to help him propose a marriage. Yuehua was stunned. "Do you want to propose marriage to Shue-Chi?" "To be honest, although she is not bad, there are too many people in our ethereal peak who are more outstanding than her. Junior sister, you don't know, but I like this kind of iceberg." Stardust laughed. "All right, you can go back first. I'll go and see the ancestor." Then he turned into a beam of light and disappeared. Yuehua shook her head slightly. It seemed that another sparrow was about to become a phoenix. Presbytery Pavilion. It was very quiet, and there were countless paths around. This was where the old ancestor of the Presbytery Pavilion was. No one dared to be presumptuous here. At that moment, a figure was flying through the sky. It was Yen Mo. After Yen Mo entered the hall, he said, "Father, I've found them." Those two people were disciples of Misty Peak. The man was called Xingqian, and the woman was called Yuehua. They were the geniuses of the Star Clan and the Moon Clan. In front of them, the old ancestor of the presbytery pavilion, opened his eyes. A terrifying chi bloomed in his eyes. Then, did the two of them fight? Yen Mo took in a deep breath. That didn't seem too possible. Even though the both of them were geniuses in ethereal peak, they were nothing compared to Lin Fan. However, they didn't seem to be able to control the light of reincarnation. Who was it? The old ancestor's eyes shone with a terrifying light. Did anyone from Misty Peak go in? He didn't know. He was still investigating. Go, find out who killed Jiu-Er. Even if it was someone from Misty Peak, he had to give me an explanation. Next, there was an undercurrent. However, Lin Xian didn't care about any of this. He was in seclusion, cultivating with all his might. In front of him, the great void divine furnace was surrounded by flames. It was like a fire dragon, flickering continuously. 9 sun divine flame. Lin Xian had obtained many precious spiritual herbs in the Great Snow Mountain. He was refining them now. When this furnace of pills was completed, he could try to break through and reach late stage, Holy Venerate. At that time, his strength would become even more terrifying. Finally, half a month later, a furnace of pills was completed. Looking at the pills, Lin Xian's lips curled up into a smile. Every pill was crystal clear, and there were great daos flickering on them. Lin Xian waved his hand and started consuming the pills. Boom! Not long after, lightning filled the sky. It was like the end of the world. It attracted the attention of the 1,000 Mountain Cave again. Could it be that Xueqi is going to break through again? Countless people became nervous. Xueqi's father also arrived, and his eyes flickered. However, they did not know that this was Lin Xian breaking through. Lightning tribulations filled the sky, and no one dared to approach this place. This time, the lightning tribulation lasted for a very long time. Lightning flashed, and thunder roared in the sky. Countless martial emperors were hacked apart. This scene was horrifying, as if 10,000 dragons were roaring together. A figure covered in flames appeared in the sea of lightning. Countless lightning bolts flickered on his body. Some of them were even as big as a mountain. This was Lin Xian. He brought out his powerful divine body. Countless sword chi turned into divine chains and fought with the lightning in the sky. Finally, Shao Chun blocked the lightning tribulation. Then, he sat down cross-legged on the charred ground and started the final tempering. His aura suddenly erupted, and he reached late stage Holy Venerate. His strength had undergone an earth-shaking change compared to before. This is great. Lin Xian's lips curled up in a smile. The people outside were also looking forward to it. Is it over? I wonder if Princess Xueqi successfully broke through and became a sage king. They all wanted to go there. At this moment, the lightning that had disappeared gathered again. Then, an even more terrifying power descended. Even Lin Xian abruptly opened his eyes. He looked at the large hall before him and revealed a look of surprise. A sage king tribulation. Is she going to break through? Lin Xian cried out in surprise. The palace in front of him was where Xueqi was. It seemed like Xueqi was really going to break through to the Sage King realm. Xueqi's father and the other Sage Kings outside wanted to come in and check the situation. However, when they sensed the Sage King tribulation, they were all surprised. Is she going to break through now? Chapter 44:65. Retreat quickly. These people retreated one after another. Even those who were in the mansion quickly retreated. Lin Xian's body flickered, and he arrived in the distant void. His eyes flickered as he observed the situation. A bolt of lightning descended in front of him, and it penetrated the heavens and the earth. The palace beneath it was torn apart, and it was turned into ashes. A person was sitting cross-legged in the void, and there was black ice revolving around her body. Soon after, Xueqi opened her eyes, and her black hair fluttered in the wind. The black ice around her body swept out in all directions. The lightning that approached her was instantly sealed by ice. Boom, boom, boom. Xue-Qi used her 9 body, and ice filled the sky as she fought against the terrifying Saint Tribulation. This battle shook the heavens and the earth, and in the end, Xue-Qi successfully crossed the Saint Tribulation. She looked up at the sky and let out a long cry, and the clouds in the 9 heavens and 10 lands collapsed. The aura of a saint king emanated from her body. Boom. It's great. She successfully made a breakthrough. A smile appeared at the corners of Xue-Qi's mouth. Her injuries, which were caused by the lightning tribulation, quickly healed. Qi, how are you? After the lightning disappeared, a voice transmitted from afar. At the same time, countless auras in the sky started spreading toward them. And there was even an aura of a great saint among them. It was the Supreme Elder. Many people cried out in alarm. Greetings, Elder Black Ice. They looked at the blue-robed old man and bowed to him. The blue-robed old man's robe fluttered even though there was no wind, and his eyes were like blue lightning that could see through everything. He stared at Xue-Qi, then clapped his hands and laughed heartily. She made a breakthrough. Great, great, great. He was overjoyed as his granddaughter had finally taken a crucial step. Is this true? She actually made a breakthrough. It's great. Xue-Qi's father was also overjoyed, and he clenched his fists. The others also congratulated Black Ice Ancestor one after another. Black Ice Ancestor, congratulations. Princess Xue-Qi's talent was too great. She was the first person among the younger generation to become a Saint King. Her future achievements were limitless, and she would surely become a great saint. Many praises could be heard, and Black Ice Ancestor laughed heartily. Xue-Qi's breakthrough was a great matter for the 1,000 Mountain Paradise, and they invited everyone to a banquet. Soon, these people began to move. On the other side, Yanemo walked over and gnashed his teeth. Father, Xue-Qi has already broken through to the Saint King realm. Damn it! The others were all very happy, but their expressions were incomparably ugly, because his son, Yanjiu, had already fallen. In all honesty, he hoped that Xue-Qi would die. However, things didn't go as he wished. Not only did Xue-Qi not die, but she had also become even more powerful. She had even broken through to become a Saint King. Moreover, he wants to invite the world to a banquet. I think he wants to show off to the world. The more she spoke, the angrier she became, said the ancestor of the holy heavens. She had just become a Saint King, so she didn't pose any threat to him. As long as the Black Ice Old Monster does not break through, we will still be evenly matched. Yanemo nodded. He naturally knew. The younger generation represented the hope of the future. However, more importantly, although they were both from the 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven, the forces they represented were different. The 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven had a total of 3 great sages. One of them fell into a deep slumber. The only ones who were active were his father, the Holy Heaven Grand Sage, and the Black Ice Grand Sage. The 2 of them represented 2 different forces, so they were naturally competing with each other. Previously, Yanjiu had pursued Xue-Qi. If he had succeeded, then they might have been able to work together. However, there was no such possibility now. Xue-Qi received countless congratulatory messages, but she ignored them all with an indifferent expression. Many of the younger generation's geniuses had come. Many of them were handsome, and some of them were carefree. However, Xue-Qi didn't care about them at all. She looked around as if she was looking for someone. When she saw Lin Xian walk out of the clouds, a smile appeared on her face. Her smile was so beautiful that it could cause the downfall of a nation. Everyone was stunned when they saw it. When the others saw it, they all stared at Lin Xian and gnashed their teeth. Xue-Qi had indeed said, "Elders, fellow disciples, I just broke through, and I want to consolidate it. All right, Xue-Qi, you should rest first. When the banquet starts, we will congratulate you properly. The elders all left with their juniors. Shue-chi gathered her subordinates and said, "Build a new mansion for me. I will go to another place to live temporarily." She left with Lin Xian. The news that Shue-chi had successfully broken through and become a Saint King spread out from the 1,000-mountain paradise. When the other paradises and ancient clans people learned about it, they were all shocked. They all received invitations and they all set out. The Misty Peaks people also learned about it, and they also sent out a team to go there. Soon, the day of the banquet arrived. The 1,000-mountain paradise became very lively, and the young disciples all had smiles on their faces. Shue-chi was the star of this banquet, and what they needed to do was to attract her attention. They had already heard from their elders that Yan Jiu had died. Since that was the case, they could go and chase after Shue-chi. In the past, because of Yan Jiu's existence, many people wanted to get Shue-chi's attention. However, they didn't dare to. But now he didn't have to worry about that anymore. If he could get married to Shue-chi, he wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. If they could marry Shue-chi, their families and their own families would all soar. They had arrived at the Green Hill Paradise. A loud voice came from outside, and a team was invited in. It was the Green Hill Paradise's people. Countless people turned their heads to look, and they all cried out in surprise. The Green Hill Paradise's people were all handsome, and they were like fairies. Many people cried out in surprise. Many people's eyes turned red. They couldn't get Princess Shue-chi, but if they could marry a fairy from the Green Hill Paradise, it would be good too. Next, the Howren Paradise, White Cloud Paradise, and Flying Feather Paradise's people all arrived. The last to arrive was the Purple Spirit Paradise's people. Many people were surprised that young Masterling Tian had come as well. Many people whispered, "Didn't this guy say that he was severely injured and poisoned? How did he recover?" His grandfather was a supreme elder, a great saint. He must have personally helped him to expel the poison and heal his injuries. The Purple Spirit Paradise's people had a cold expression, and their eyes were cold. To be honest, he was very angry. He was beaten up by a mysterious person for no reason, and he was severely injured. He was even poisoned. Indeed, it was the great saint who saved him. However, this also caused his cultivation and strength to fall. After all, his foundation was injured, and his soul was injured. Now, he had fallen to the peak of the Saint Venerable realm, and he was no longer a half-step Saint King. This made him gnash his teeth, especially when he heard that Shue-chi had successfully broken through to become a Saint King. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Chapter 4466. He was supposed to be the first to break through, but now the glory had fallen to someone else. But fortunately it was Shue-chi. If he could marry Shue-chi, everything would be perfect. Apart from the people from the 5 grotto heavens, there were also dozens of ancient race and other experts. It could be said that the 1,000-mountain grotto was extremely lively. The elders and geniuses of the 1,000-mountain grotto were also coming in and out to receive the guests. At this moment, a voice came from the foot of the mountain, welcoming the ethereal peak. As soon as the voice came out, the people in the grotto fell silent. Countless people turned their heads to look. Even the ethereal peak was here? This was unbelievable. The 1,000-mountain grotto was actually so influential. The elders and experts of the other grotto heavens were also shocked. The people of the 1,000-mountain grotto smiled. Great. They did not expect the people of the ethereal peak to come. Some of the core elders also started to move and went to welcome them. The ethereal peak was in existence above them. No one dared to be careless. The people of the other grotto heavens were also extremely respectful and pious. From afar, a white jade bridge appeared, connecting the heavens and the earth. Countless daos were intertwined on it. There were a few figures on the bridge. The one in front was a middle-aged man. He was tall and wore armor that shone with cold light. His aura was extremely shocking. It was him, Dugaju, many elders of the grotto heavens narrowed their eyes. They did not expect such a person to come here. Some of the young people did not know who this person was. They only knew that his aura was extremely terrifying. They asked Elder, "Is this person powerful?" The elder said, "How dare you be so rude to Elder Dugu?" Saint King Dugu was a late-stage Saint King. He was also an elder of the ethereal peak and had an extraordinary status. He was not someone you could talk about. Did you hear that? The disciples were so scared that their scalps went numb. How terrifying was the elder of the ethereal peak! At the same time, they were even more confused. Why would such a person come for the 1,000 Mountain Grotto? Could it be that something big was going to happen? Even the elders of the 1,000 Mountain Grotto were stunned. They originally thought that they would send some young disciples. But now, such a powerful elder had come personally. For a moment, they were all stunned. The expression of Xueqi's father, Elder Xian Hai, changed drastically. Since such an important person had come, he must inform the Supreme Elder as soon as possible. He secretly transmitted his voice. However, as soon as he moved, two powerful auras surged over from afar. "Greetings, Patriarch." The people of 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven kept worshipping. The people from the other grotto heavens also bowed and greeted the two great sages. Countless people looked up at him. Was this the great sage? It was really too terrifying. It was the Holy Heavens ancestor and the Black Ice ancestor. The two of them looked ahead when they arrived. They landed on a cloud and smiled. They didn't expect fellow Taoist Dugu of Ethereal Peak to come personally. How disrespectful. The two seniors are too polite. Dugu said indifferently as he cupped his fists, "Fellow Taoist Dugu, please." The two grand elders will personally lead the way. The surrounding people were all stunned. Although Dugujua was powerful, he was only a late-stage Saint King. Yet, the two great sages were treating him with such respect. In fact, they were treating him as equals. It was truly unbelievable. However, this also showed how extraordinary Ethereal Peak was. It was probably completely above the grotto heavens. Two seniors, please. Dugaju didn't dare to be careless. After all, they were two living fossils, two great sages. The three of them walked forward together. The surrounding people stepped back and made a path for them. There were also a few figures following behind Dugaju. Xingchen and Yuehua were among them. The group was invited to the most honorable place and sat down. After that, the two utmost exalted elders also sat down. Everyone was seated. The others also sat down. At this moment, a red-crowned crane was flying in the distance, with two figures standing on top of it. It was Fairy Xueqi. She was here. With a cry of surprise, countless people raised their heads and looked into the distance. The eyes of the young disciples instantly lit up. She was so beautiful. She was like a fairy from the ninth heaven. Xueqi had dressed up meticulously today. Her exquisite snow robe made her look even more noble. She looked like an ice queen. As soon as she appeared, she attracted countless gazes and countless exclamations. The crane flew and circled in the air. Then it landed. Xueqi walked down. Lin Xian also landed behind her. Lin Xian looked around curiously. The people who came this time were more powerful than the people who had gathered at Mount Han. He also found that the 6 grotto heavens were all here. Especially when he sensed the 2 aged figures sitting at the very front, his pupils abruptly shrunk. The aura of a great sage. They were real great sages. He took a deep breath. As expected of a grotto heaven, it was much more powerful than the holy city. There were even great sages here. And there was more than one. Who was this person? When he saw Dugaju, he was also stunned. Dugaju was only a late-stage Saint Venerable. However, he could sit on the same level as a great sage. This surprised him. However, when he saw Xing Chen and Yu Hua sitting beside Duguju, he immediately understood what was going on. He had seen these two people before. They were from Misty Peak. He guessed that the middle-aged man sitting at the front was also an expert from Misty Peak. It seemed like Misty Peak's status was really important. Xing Chen's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Xueqi. A smile appeared at the corners of his mouth, as expected of the person he had taken a fancy to. She was even more beautiful than he had imagined. However, when he saw Lin Xian, he furrowed his brows. Once he married Xueqi, this battle servant wouldn't need to exist anymore. Many people's gazes also fell on Lin Xian. There were even some geniuses who were envious of him. They wished they could turn into battle servants and stay by Xueqi's side. Let me introduce you. This is Elder Dugu of Misty Peak. He came here especially for this meeting. You should thank him properly. Xianhai stood up and looked at his daughter with a smile. Xueqi was also surprised. Did Elder Dugu of Misty Peak come here personally? Did he come here to take a disciple? Junior Xueqi greets Elder Dugu. You are too polite. My niece, Xueqi, has great talent. It is only a matter of time before she joins Misty Peak. Xueqi also smiled as she thanked Elder Dugu for his praise. She had always wanted to join Misty Peak. The other people also went into an uproar. They all guessed that Duguju had come here to take a disciple. These people were the outstanding geniuses of Misty Peak. Xian high-pointed at Xing Chen and the others. Chapter 4467. Xueqi also bowed slightly to greet everyone. Sister Xueqi, you are too courteous. We will be on the same side in the future, Yu Hua said with a smile. After that, Xueqi met the elders of the other heavens and the experts of the ancient race. She sat down. The banquet started, and it was very lively. Many people came to congratulate Xueqi. Just the gifts that Lin Xian had received for her had already piled up into a mountain. During the banquet, there were also some fights. After all, everyone was an expert, and they liked watching fights. Some geniuses of the heavens and ancient race started fighting. The battle stopped there, but it was still very exciting and intense. All kinds of great daos appeared between heaven and earth. Interesting. Even I want to fight. I wonder who wants to exchange a few moves with me? At this moment, a figure stood up from the Misty Peak's side. It was a short-haired man. He wore blue armor and carried a saber on his back. His cultivation was only at the half-step Holy King realm, but he was able to join the Misty Peak. There was only one explanation. He was a descendant of one of the elders of the Misty Peak. Mo Fan walked out and looked at the people of the other heavens and ancient race. What's wrong? Does no one dare to fight? The banquet fell silent for a moment. Mo Fan sneered coldly. Didn't you all think that you were geniuses? Why don't you even have the courage to fight me? You are really disappointing. You want to join the Misty Peak? I'm afraid you don't have the chance. What an arrogant person. When the people of the 6 great heavens heard this, they frowned. Some of them had ugly expressions. It's not that we don't want to fight, but if we injure you, we will end up in a miserable state. These words were exactly what everyone was thinking. It wasn't that they couldn't defeat him, but that he was from the Misty Peak, and no one dared to fight him. When Mo Fan heard this, he smiled. So, this is what you are worried about. I can tell you that you don't need to worry. Who can defeat me, or even injure me? I will reward you handsomely. Even if I am injured, I won't blame you. Everyone can hear what I am saying. Do you still have anything to worry about? Since that's the case, I will challenge you. A figure stood up. It was Meng Hao of the Howren Heavens. After Meng Hao walked out, he said, "Excuse me." Unparalleled laws of nature burst out from his body. His palm formed a seal of nature and pushed forward. This was the ultimate technique of the vast grotto heaven. This Meng Hao was also a top genius, and his attacks were truly terrifying. Most likely, there was no one below Saint King who could do anything to him. right? Mo Fan let out a hollow laugh. The Howard Wonderland. Huh? He pulled out the saber on his back. Purple flames rose from the saber as it slashed down with an unparalleled aura. Purple flame devil saber. The saber slashed down and collided with the Howard seal. Both of them let out an earth-shaking sound. This slash actually sent Meng Hao flying backward. This guy is so strong. He is indeed from the ethereal peak. The crowd realized that although Mo Fan was arrogant, his strength was not weak at all. Mo Fan let out a hollow laugh after he succeeded and charged forward once again. The long saber in his hand continued to fall like lightning, enveloping the world. Meng Hao kept retreating, but he was not nervous at all. Suddenly, countless Howard seals appeared behind him. There were a total of 12 of them, and they covered the sky and covered the earth, directly enveloping his opponent. This was a kind of ultimate technique. It turned out that he was not really defeated before. He was just retreating in order to advance, looking for an opening. Finally, he found an opportunity. Boom, boom, boom. Under the mighty attack, Mo Fan was hit and was sent flying. His face was pale, and blood was flowing out from the corner of his mouth. There were even a few cracks on his body. He was injured. Countless people were shocked. Meng Hao walked forward. You have lost this battle. Mo Fan's eyes instantly turned red. Damn it, you dare to hurt me? Go to hell. He roared angrily, and the long saber in his hand instantly burst out with an unparalleled light. A roar burst out from his saber, and then it turned into a phantom and slashed forward. Boom. The power of this slash surpassed everything before. It even carried the aura of a Saint King. Not good. This was the weapon of a Saint King, and it was sealed before. Countless cries of surprise rang out, and Meng Hao's pupils constricted. He once again used the Howard seal to block the attack. However, he was still a step too late. In an instant, he was sent flying, and a crack appeared on his body. One of his arms was directly cut off. Meng Hao was injured. The people of the Howard Grotto were nervous. The others also exclaimed, "The battle should be over." They did not expect Mo Fan to use the weapon of a Saint King. It was an unfair victory. Everyone sighed. To be honest, with Meng Hao's status, he could naturally take out a Saint King weapon. However, since it was a spar, they would not rely on external forces. However, to everyone's surprise, Mo Fan did not stop. His eyes were red. "Since you dare to hurt me, go to hell." The saber in his hand slashed down again. Damn it, is this guy crazy? Does he want to kill me? This was not the end of the battle. He had said so nicely before that he did not care about being injured or losing, but now his opponent had hurt him a little. He actually wanted to kill his opponent. Meng Hao's face was also cold. To be honest, he was also angry. Did he think he did not have a Saint King weapon? His severed arm healed, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. He was about to attack. However, at that moment, the elder of the Howard Grotto stood up. Very well, Meng Hao had lost this battle. Elder! Meng Hao was not convinced. However, the elder of the Howard Grotto did say, "Meng Hao, you are injured. You have lost this battle." "Yes, I understand." Meng Hao walked back unwillingly. Mo Fan harumphed coldly. "Fortunately, you were not injured. Otherwise, you would be a dead man by now. Who else wants to stand with me?" The surrounding people did not say anything. This guy was simply a madman. He could not afford to be taken advantage of. Furthermore, his status was frighteningly high. No one dared to act rashly. Who would want to fight with such a person? What a bunch of trash. Mo Fan laughed coldly. In front of him, Stardust frowned slightly. Mo Fan, come back. To be honest, he also felt that Mo Fan was a bit embarrassing. Fine, I'll spare them this time. Mo Fan walked back. For a moment, the atmosphere was a bit awkward. Duga Ju said with a smile, "Today we came here not only to congratulate Xueqi, but also for another matter. Oh, another matter? What is it? The two great elders were confused. The others were also surprised. Dugaju said with a smile, Xueqi's children should be of marriageable age. Dugaju wondered if she had a good husband. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. What did he mean? Even Xueqi furrowed her brows. Chapter 4468. Dugaju continued with a smile. This is Xingqian, a genius of the ethereal peak. He has reached the Saint King realm. Senior Black Ice, what do you think? Black Ice ancestor was also taken aback. What did Taoist Duga mean? Dugaju said, This time, I'm here to propose marriage. Propose marriage? Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Those from the 1,000 Mountain Cave were stunned. Those from the other caves were also dumbfounded. It seemed like they were here to propose marriage for Xingqian. Oh my God! Despair filled their eyes. Yan, Jiu's matter, had given them hope. After all, they could pursue Xueqi. But now, the ethereal peak had proposed marriage. Who would dare to oppose it? Sure enough, those young geniuses were disappointed. Even the elders from the 1,000 Mountain Cave were stunned. Elder Xianbing was also stunned. She didn't expect that the other party was here to propose marriage. Xingqian is a genius of the Star Clan of the Ethereal Peak. If the marriage alliance is successful this time, then both of us can work together. Countless people were stunned. The eyes of those from the other caves turned red. If they could work together with the Ethereal Peak, it would be a great benefit for the caves. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor's face turned cold. Yenmo's face also turned ugly. This way, the 1,000 Mountain Cave would benefit. But the biggest beneficiary would be the Black Ice lineage. Xingqian would probably soar to the sky in the future. If that happened, the 1,000 Mountain Cave lineage would be at a disadvantage. So, they were very anxious. This Black Ice ancestor was also stunned for a moment. To be honest, she did not know how to respond. But at this moment, Xueqi stood up and said, I'm not willing. What? Everyone was shocked. Xueqi was not willing. Don't be rude. Xianhai said with a frown. How could she refuse such an important event? But, Father, Xueqi still wanted to say something. Xianhai waved his hand and said, I said, don't be rude. Sit down first. The Supreme Elder will make the decision. Although Xueqi refused, Dugaju did not care. He looked at Black Ice Ancestor. He knew that the most important thing was to deal with Black Ice Ancestor. He waved his hand and looked at the stars. What are you waiting for? Xingqian stood up and said with a smile, Senior Xianbing, if Xueqi and I can be together, I will definitely treat her well for the rest of my life. These were some greeting gifts. I hope that Senior and Xueqi won't dislike it. As he spoke, he waved his hand and 3 treasure boxes appeared in the sky. Was this a betrothal gift? Countless people cried out in surprise as they looked up at the sky. Xingqian waved his hand, and the first treasure box opened. Immediately, 9-colored light flew out and circled the world. A terrifying aura of the Great Path surged. The surrounding people were all stunned. Just the aura alone was so terrifying. How heaven-defying was this treasure? Then, a fist-sized jade flew out. The jade was sparkling and translucent. It was exceptionally dreamy, as if it was the most precious treasure in the world. However, what was surprising was not this piece of jade, but what was sealed in the jade. It was a stalk of spirit medicine, and it could be seen that it was very old. Xingqian said proudly with his hands behind his back. This was a 30,000-year-old herb. The surrounding people were all in an uproar. 30,000-year-old. Heavens! Isn't this a little too long ago? This was definitely enough to make anyone's eyes turn red. Sure enough, even the 2 Grand Elders' eyes shone with a biting, cold light. This was extremely useful to them. Not only could it increase their cultivation, but it could also increase their lifespan. The Holy Heaven's old ancestors' eyes turned red. Why didn't his junior have a peerless fairy like Xueqi? Damn it, this Black Ice Old Ancestor is going to benefit. Black Ice Old Ancestor was also very happy. However, as a great saint, he was very experienced and knowledgeable. Thus, he was extremely calm at this moment and did not say anything. When Xing Chen saw this, he waved his hand again. Immediately, the second treasure box opened. Boundless light flew out from it. It was also a piece of divine crystal, and there was a celestial pot sealed in it. The crowd was puzzled. Could it be a top-grade saint artifact? Xing Chen said that there was half a bottle of spirit wine in the celestial pot. It should be the legendary Linglong Saint wine. The surrounding people went crazy. The Linglong Saint wine was a legendary existence. With just a sip, one could almost ascend to the immortal realm. It could definitely increase one's cultivation by a few hundred years. It could directly create a peerless expert, as expected of the Misty Peak. It was really too amazing. The things that they took out shocked everyone. At the same time, everyone knew that it seemed like this marriage proposal was going to be successful. Presumably, the Thousand Mountain Grotto would definitely not reject it. What was inside the third treasure box? At this moment, countless people were looking forward to it. Xing Chen waved his hand and opened the third treasure box. Moonlight appeared inside. Then, a crescent moon flew out. It was the moon. Everyone was stunned. However, some of the older generation experts shook their heads. No, it looked like the moon. It was a piece of metal. Some of you should have guessed it. It was called the metal of the hidden moon. It was a material used to create great saint artifacts. I don't think I need to explain how precious it was. The surrounding people's eyes almost popped out. The metal of the hidden moon was crystal clear. It was flowing with radiance like a divine moon. It was a peerless metal. Indeed, the eyes of the two great saints turned red. Although they were great saints and had great saint artifacts in their hands, those great saint artifacts had been passed down in the heavenly grotto since ancient times. They were not created by them. It was too difficult for a great saint to create his own great saint artifact. The reason was that the materials needed were extremely precious. Many people might not be able to find all of them in their lifetime. Therefore, the great saints used divine artifacts that had been passed down. Now, such a piece of metal had appeared, and it made the eyes of the two great saints turn red. If they could get it and create their own great saint artifacts, they would be satisfied for the rest of their lives. Each of the three treasures would be astonishing if taken out. Now that they had appeared together, no one would be able to reject them. The corners of Black Ice Ancestor's mouth curled up as she looked at Xueqi. Xueqi's heart thumped. She stood up and said once again, "I'm not willing." The surrounding people went crazy. She was still not willing? What was Xueqi thinking? Some female disciples of the other heavenly grottos snorted coldly. Why was she so arrogant? Did she really think of herself as a peerless fairy? Xing Chen was so handsome, and he was also a martial artist of the Misty Peak. His status was above all heavenly grottos. If they were in Xueqi's place, they would have agreed long ago. Moreover, she had taken out three treasures, which showed her sincerity. Those female martial artists were so angry that they wished they could rush over and agree immediately. However, Xueqi had refused them twice, which made them go crazy with anger. Why was the disparity between people so big? Chapter 4469. The smile on Xing Chen's face disappeared, and his expression became unsightly. She had already rejected him twice. Didn't he want to lose face? Even Dugu Ju furrowed his brows slightly. His expression became gloomy, but he didn't say anything. Xian Hai said hurriedly, "Elder Dugu, please calm down. My daughter is still young, and she is used to being spoiled. Elder Dugu, please don't take offense. I have already made up my mind." Xueqi stood out once again. At this moment, countless gazes fell on her. Shwechi looked around and said in a clear voice, "Elder Dugu, thank you for your love. However, Shwechi already has someone in her heart." After she spoke, she glanced at Lin Xian. Everyone was taken aback. Shwechi already has someone in her heart. Damn it! Who is it? I will fight him to the death. Even Xing Chen's expression became unsightly. He had proposed a marriage in front of everyone, but Shwechi didn't agree. She even said that she already had someone in her heart. This was a slap to his face. Don't be rude. Xian Hai shouted angrily. Even Black Ice Ancestor's expression changed. This was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but if it wasn't handled properly, it might turn into a disaster. Offending the Misty Peak would lead to a miserable end. The Holy Heavens Ancestor and the others sneered inwardly. This scene was beyond their expectations. However, they were still very happy. Chi is too young, and we will give you an explanation for this matter. Black Ice Ancestor also spoke. Now, the situation had become very awkward, and they had to stop it quickly. Otherwise, the Misty Peak would become even angrier. Chi had just broken through recently, and she might be too tired. This was why she wasn't in a good mood. Guards, take Chi away to rest. Xian Hai waved his hand, and many guards walked out. It seemed like they wanted to take Shwechi away by force. Shwechi said, "Who dares to do this?" She took a step forward, but the guards continued to walk towards her. When Lin Xian saw this scene, he sighed. He knew that Shwechi didn't agree because of him. After all, Shwechi was already his woman. Now, Shwechi was going against the Thousand Mountain Wonderland, and the Misty Peak for him. How could he just sit by and watch? Lin Xian walked out as well. With a stomp of his foot, endless nomological laws condensed under his feet and enveloped the guards. Countless laws formed divine chains, sealing them in the sky. Audacious. Do you dare to make a move? Xian Hai roared. Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. He laughed. For the sake of a few treasures, he was willing to push his own daughter into the fire pit. As a father, he wasn't much. What did you say? Xian Hai was completely enraged. A mere battle servant dared to clamor with him? Kneel, he roared. However, Lin Xian stood there without moving. He said coldly, "What? Am I wrong? You are Shwechi's elders, yet you don't care about Shwechi at all. All you think about is the treasure and the relationship with the Misty Peak. Have you ever cared about Shwechi's feelings? Shwechi is still young, and she doesn't understand anything. We are doing this for her own good." Xian Hai said coldly. Lin Xian laughed out loud. "Young? Don't understand? I see that you've lived for thousands of years, but you don't understand either. How presumptuous! Who gave you the guts to speak here?" Xian Hai went crazy. The people in the surroundings went into an uproar. Who is this guy? Is he some genius? What a joke. Can't he see that he's just a battle servant? What? A battle servant dares to speak to an elder in such a manner? He'll probably suffer a fate worse than death. Shwechi turned around and looked at Lin Xian. She revealed a smile. She knew that she had made the right choice. In the next instant, she said, "Father, grandfather, if you insist on marrying Shwechi, it's fine. But I have a condition." "What condition?" "Speak." Xian Hai was delighted. As long as Shwechi agreed, they would fulfill any condition. Shwechi said, "My husband will surely be a peerless hero. Weaklings don't have such qualifications. You can set your mind at ease. Xingqian is also a Saint King, and he reached the Saint King realm 3 years ago. This showed that Xingqian's power was extremely great. However, Shwechi said, even among Saint Kings, there are strong and weak ones. My condition is that you must defeat me in order to become my husband. Moreover, since you think that I'm not young anymore, it's time for me to get married. All right, let's have a competition to find a spouse." I'll invite all the geniuses in the world to sign up. If anyone can defeat me, I'll marry him." Everyone went into an uproar when they heard this. A competition to find a spouse? Oh my God! Didn't this mean that they also had a chance? Some people were shocked. Dugaju furrowed his brows and looked at Xingqian. Xingqian's face was gloomy, but a smile quickly appeared at the corners of his mouth. A competition to find a spouse? Interesting. Fine, I'll agree. Xueqi, I'll defeat you personally to prove my power. I'm the most suitable person to be your husband. Xian high-heaved a sigh of relief. Since even Xingqian had agreed, they didn't need to say anything. However, after this matter, they still had to apologize properly. Even Black Ice Ancestor sighed. It seemed like she had to make a trip to the Misty Peak. After all, they had really embarrassed the Misty Peak today. 10 days from now, I'll accept your challenge. I'll only give you 10 days to prepare. After Xueqi finished speaking, she turned around and left. Countless people went into an uproar. They knew that a good show was about to begin. Moreover, the news had already spread. All the experts in the region rushed over. They also wanted to participate. The Thousand Mountain Cave was also busy. They were preparing to set up the ancient arena. They also had to entertain more people. On the other side, Black Ice Ancestor personally invited Dugaju and the others to a quiet palace, where she received them personally. Xingqian was a little unhappy before, but now a smile appeared on his face. He wanted to conquer her personally. On the other side, after Xueqi went back, she looked at Lin Xian. She said, 10 days from now, you'll participate, right? Since they had come back from Mount Han, the two of them had been cultivating in seclusion. They even tried to avoid what had happened. This made Xueqi very sad. Lin Xian looked at her and said, "Of course, you're already my woman. Your husband can only be me. I've already thought it through. The Thousand Mountain Cave is the Thousand Mountain Cave, and you are you. Moreover, I don't want to kill the entire Thousand Mountain Cave. I only want to kill a part of it." That's right. Lin Xian wanted to kill those who had participated in sealing them. He also wanted to kill the members of the world of men. After Xueqi heard this, she revealed a beautiful smile. Great. She had seen Lin Xian's power. This was why she had thought of the martial arts competition to find a spouse. As long as Lin Xian displayed his great power in front of everyone 10 days from now, it wouldn't matter even if he was just a battle servant. When this news spread out, the whole world went into an uproar. More experts rushed over. Among them, there were even some saints. Chapter 4470. After all, Xueqi was already a true Saint King. If they wanted to defeat her, they had to be a saint. Of course, there were also some people who wanted to join in the fun. After all, they were the center of attention at this time. If they could shine in the battle, even if they lost in the end, they would still be famous in the world. They all came to the Thousand Mountain Cave with different goals in mind. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, everyone was excited. The Thousand Mountain Cave even took out many arenas for the upcoming battles. The two Grand Elders and the Duga Shimwang had all arrived. They sat high up in the clouds and looked down. The experts of the other heavenly caves and the ancient race all gathered around them. Xingqian was wearing a battle armor today, and his eyes were emitting a cold aura. Today, he was going to sweep across the 8 barren lands and defeat Xueqi personally. Then he would carry out the marriage alliance. The experts and experts of the other heavenly caves were also excited. At this time, Mo Fan walked out again and said loudly, "If you want to challenge Xueqi, you have to go through me first. If you can't even defeat me, you don't have the right to challenge a saint." He was right. Other than Mo Fan, 3 more people arrived. They were all from the Misty Peak. These 3 people were all half-step Saint Kings. They stood in 3 arenas and were going to be eliminated. It's so lively. It seems like I'm not too late. A loud laugh came from the sky. Then, a sword light flashed and formed a figure. Another expert came to challenge them. Everyone felt the pressure. No, this was not an ordinary Saint King. This was a late-stage Saint King. This was a terrifying expert. Countless people exclaimed. They looked up at the sky, and so did the people of the 1,000-mountain cave. The two supreme elders and Dugaju were stunned. Their pupils shrank. It's him. The three of them stood up at the same time. Taoist Wuk, what a rare guest. I didn't expect you to come. Black Ice Ancestor was very surprised. His face was full of excitement. This was too much. This was the martial arts competition of his granddaughter. Now, not only Dugaju, but also Wuk Wuk had come. This made him feel proud. On the other side, the Holy Heavens Ancestor was also surprised. He did not dare to be negligent. Long time no see. Tour guide Wuk, Dugaju said. The three of them invited the peerless swordsman down from the sky. The surrounding people were shocked. Who was this person? He was so terrifying. His identity was also extraordinary. Could it be that he was also from the ethereal peak? The misty peak actually sent two elders? It was too unbelievable. However, there were also some who shook their heads. No, these people from ethereal peak looked confused. Clearly, they did not know this peerless swordsman. This person was not from ethereal peak. Who was that? In this place, other than the misty peak, who else could make the grotto heavens treat them with such respect, or even be on equal footing with the misty peak? Everyone was puzzled. I wonder where Xueqi is? Jian Wuk asked with a smile after he came down. Xueqi, we're almost there. Not long after, the red-crowned crane flew over from afar. Xueqi and Lin Xian descended gracefully like celestial beings. Here comes. Countless people's eyes lit up. Jian Wuk said with a smile. She is indeed a peerless genius. It seems like Xueqi's future is limitless. Elder Wuk, it won't be long before my daughter marries Xingqian of the Misty Peak. At that time, I hope Elder Wuk can come. Oh, Jian Wuk was surprised. At this moment, Yen Mo said coldly, Elder Xianhai, it's too early for you to be happy. What will be the final result of this competition? No one can say for sure. Why? Do you think that young Master Xingqian won't be able to obtain the final victory? Xianhai glanced at Yen Mo and revealed a meaningful smile. Yen Mo's son had been pursuing his daughter. Now that Yen Jiu was dead, he must be furious. However, even if Yen Jiu was alive, how could he be compared to Xingqian? Yen Mo looked at Dugaju with respect, and then looked at Xianhai. He said with a smile, I didn't say that young Master Xingqian would lose. It's just that I think everyone knows Xueqi's temper. At that time, I hope Xueqi will keep her word. Xianhai's face darkened. I know my daughter. She won't go back on her word. All right, stop fighting. Just watch the competition patiently. Elder Xianbing also said in a deep voice. Soon, everyone's gazes shifted downwards. The people below had already started. Mo Fan and the other three experts of the Misty Peak were in charge of the elimination. The battles were very fast. The three of them were very strong. Even if they were fighting against experts of the same level, they would finish the battle within 3 moves. Damn it! How could it be so coincidental? Everyone was in despair. Some of the people who wanted to participate hesitated. They were all half-step Saint Kings. Why was the gap between them so huge? Could this be the Misty Peak? The super skills and ultimate techniques used by the other party far surpassed theirs. Look, it's Han Chong. He's back. They heard that he had gone to another world to train. They didn't expect him to finally return. This time, his strength would be even more terrifying. Discussions broke out one after another. Lin Xian turned his head and looked over with a look of surprise on his face. He had met Han Chong in the true spirit world before. He was already a saint, a top existence. Now that he had returned, his strength had increased again. He had reached the half-step Saint King realm. Furthermore, Lin Xian knew that these people were all experts who had experienced hundreds of battles. After going through the trials of other worlds, they were much stronger than ordinary half-step Saint Kings. Han Chong walked up, bringing with him endless ice. Countless people were discussing. This guy was like Fairy Xue Qi, an expert of the ice element. They didn't know if he could fight against the people of the Misty Peak. Oh, an interesting guy is coming up? Mo Fan looked at the other party with surprise. Then he said, "Interesting. I'll give you a chance to attack first. Sorry." Han Chong cupped his fists and said. Then, the laws on his body erupted like an iceberg. The cold aura caused frost to appear on the surrounding people. Buzz. A ray of ice light covered the sky and flew forward. Too weak, Mo Fan sneered and slashed forward. The ice shattered. A large ice bow appeared in Han Chong's hand. As he drew it back, countless ice arrows covered the sky as they flew forward. In an instant, the sky and earth were completely frozen. Boom, boom. A lot of ice appeared on it. Mo Fan's hand was the same. It was frozen. He felt his movements become slower. Even the law was frozen. Humph! Mo Fan shouted. Holding the sword with both hands, he slashed down from the sky like a galaxy. Boom! The ice swords in the sky were mercilessly torn apart. It was over. Mo Fan slashed at Han Chong again. Chapter 44-71. Han Chong kept retreating. Many icicles appeared in front of him, about to pierce through everything. At the same time, countless icicles condensed into a clone behind Mo Fan. An icicle spear appeared in his hand, and he thrust it out like a dragon's roar. There were attacks in front and behind him. It was a trap. Countless people exclaimed. Mo Fan naturally felt the terrifying power coming from behind him. He roared angrily, and the seal on the battle saber in his hand was undone. It formed a Saint King weapon. With a single strike, the clone behind it was destroyed. Another slash forced Han Chong back. Han Chong fell out of the arena, his arm numb. "I lost," he sighed. "Who else?" Mo Fan snorted. "Next, we also went up." These were the people that Lin Xian had seen in the true spirit world. They all went up one after another. In the end, they all lost. Young Master Ling Tian's face turned ghastly pale when he saw this. He thought that he could even defeat the other party in this battle. But now he had no hope at all. So he didn't go up. Everyone was in despair. The people of Ethereal Peak were indeed strong to be able to sweep the world with just one saber. Damn it. Why didn't they send our experts? We also have saint-level experts. Some disciples gritted their teeth. However, the elders of the Grotto Heavens snorted. "Are you really stupid or an idiot? If you want to die, don't drag the Grotto Heavens down with you. The other party is from Misty Peak. We don't even have time to befriend them. Who would be stupid enough to let a saint fight? Isn't this a challenge? Do you think you'll have a good ending if you go against Misty Peak?" Now, the half-step Saint Kings were just going to train. This way they could train the disciples and not offend Misty Peak. No Grotto Heavens or ancient race dared to offend Misty Peak. However, there was an exception, because a black-robed man walked over. Only a pair of eyes appeared on his body, emitting a cold light. His aura had reached the Saint King realm. Mo Fan and the other two's faces were cold. "Take my strongest attack, Purple Flame Demonic Saber." Mo Fan roared and used the battle saber in his hand to the extreme. Balls of purple flames jumped, waving in the sky. This saber was tens of thousands of miles long, slashing down from the sky. The black-robed man struck out with his palm, and the laws danced on it, forming a hand of laws that blocked the saber. Another punch knocked Mo Fan back. Mo Fan's face went pale. Damn it. He wanted to risk his life, but at this moment, Xingchen said, Junior brother, Mo, stop. Leave this person to me. Mo Fan came to a stop and nodded. Very well, you can pass. However, sooner or later, you will have to stay under my senior brother Xingchen. The black-robed man chuckled coldly. Without saying a word, he walked to the side. Next, he continued. More people walked out one after another, but they were all defeated. In the end, almost no one came out. Was there nothing left? Mo Fan swept his gaze around. At this moment, another figure walked out. His appearance caused countless cries of surprise. Lin Xian's gaze was steady and his expression was calm as he walked forward. Was he going to participate as well? He actually dared to have designs on Fairy Xueqi. Acting recklessly, battle servants could be killed directly. Cold laughter could be heard. The faces of the people from the 1,000-mountain cave turned ugly. Damn it, a battle servant is participating? What a joke. Xian Hai stood up and shouted angrily, Little battle servant, kneel down. Men, take him down. There were 4 figures in the surroundings, and they quickly walked toward Lin Xian. They all had chains of law in their hands, and they wanted to seal Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian's figure flickered, and he instantly arrived in the arena like lightning. The 4 of them were stunned. What speed! Xian Hai was also stunned. You, get back! Xian Hai roared and activated the life and death curse. In his opinion, no matter how strong a battle servant was, as long as the life and death curse was activated, the opponent would definitely die. However, there seemed to be an exception this time. Lin Xian stood there, unaffected. How was this possible? Xian Hai's eyes widened. Who was this person? Did he not plant the life and death curse on him? The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Sacred Ruler Xingchen suddenly stood up and said, Impossible. I personally brought him to Elder Three-Eyed. He must have planted the life and death curse. Kid, this is not a place where you can come. Quickly leave. As he spoke, he also used the life and death curse. However, Lin Xian did not have any reaction at all. Damn it, what was going on? Sacred Ruler Xingchen's eyes widened. His opponent was really unaffected. Could it be that there was something wrong with the life and death curse? Quickly go and invite Elder Three-Eyed here. Sacred Ruler Xingchen roared, and the surrounding people instantly flew into the distance. Most of the elders had come to such a grand event. There were also some elders who did not come. Elder Three-Eyed did not come. Now that there was a problem with the life and death curse, they naturally invited him over. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at Sacred Ruler Xingchen. A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Then he looked at Xian Hai again and said in a clear voice, If I remember correctly, the martial arts competition invites everyone in the world. There are no special rules. Who said that I can't participate? Damn kid, can a battle servant be considered a human? Sacred Ruler Xingchen roared. The others also had cold faces. Indeed, a battle servant was no different from an ant in their eyes. At this moment, Xueqi spoke up. Who said that he can't participate? I said that anyone can participate as long as they have the strength. The crowd was in an uproar. Fairy Xueqi was actually speaking up for the other party. Damn it. Why? Many people went crazy. Xingchen's face also darkened. And Am was actually able to snatch away his face? I've inquired about this person. He's an array master and has helped Xueqi with a lot of array matters. That's why he's receiving such treatment. An array master. Humph. A mere sacred ruler. No matter how strong he is, how strong can he be? Since he dares to go against me, I'll let him know what it's like to live a life worse than death. Xian Hai wanted to say something, but at this moment, the Holy Heaven's old ancestor spoke up. All right, let him participate. If this continues, it will only embarrass us even more. This is against the rules. However, Black Ice's old ancestor also nodded. Let him participate. He won't pass anyway. Xianhai did not say anything. The surrounding people were shocked. A battle servant was participating in the contest for a spouse. If this news spread, it would definitely shock the world. Mo Fan sneered. He had already received his senior brother's message. He would not let the other party go. Was he only a Saint Venerable? Too weak. I can kill you with a single finger. But don't worry, I won't really kill you. I'll cripple your cultivation and break your limbs. You'll continue to live like an ant. After saying that, he laughed proudly. You're happy too early. You're just a half-step sacred ruler. I don't care about you. I advise you to kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. Then I'll spare your life. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. Lin Xian said indifferently, standing with his hands behind his back. Chapter 4472. What did you say? Mo Fan was stunned. Everyone else was stunned. A sacred venerate was threatening a half-step sacred king? Furthermore, it was a peak half-step sacred king. What was this kid thinking? If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Mo Fan stretched out a finger and pointed forward. Countless purple flames were dancing on it. The surrounding void shattered in an instant, unable to withstand this power at all. The people from the other grotto heavens sneered. With this attack, this guy's soul would probably be destroyed. If an ant died, then so be it. There was nothing to pity. The surrounding people sneered. Facing the attack, Lin Xian put away his smile and attacked with lightning speed. He grabbed the finger with his palm. Crack! The finger was broken, and a miserable cry rang out. Lin Xian broke the other party's arm with another palm. Sacred blood fell, piercing through heaven and earth. Mo Fan retreated in a sorry state, his handsome face twisted. The pain made him go crazy. You dare hurt me? I'll kill you. At this moment, he could no longer care about anything else. His arm instantly recovered, and he slashed forward. Everyone was stunned. This guy was so strong that he could injure Mo Fan. Mo Fan must have been careless. Just watch, he would definitely die. Buzz. The saber flashed, and everyone's expressions changed. Whether it was Han Chong, Yu Hui, or Meng Hao, they were all defeated by this saber. This was especially true for Han Chong and Yu Hui. They had seen Lin Xian in the true spirit world before. They knew how terrifying this guy was. He was a top expert of a world. But so what? He had come to the buried Emperor's Star to fight. Pooh! Did this guy want to change his fate? It was impossible. They all shook their heads and sneered. I said that you're not my match. Seeing that Mo Fan continued to attack, Lin Xian shook his head and slapped again. This guy was crazy. That was the weapon of a sacred king. The surrounding people exclaimed. This guy's hand would be broken immediately, no matter how strong his body was. A sacred venerate couldn't block the weapon of a sacred king. Clang! The palm and the saber collided. The palm didn't break, and instead it grabbed the saber. Then Lin Xian's other palm slapped over. A palm landed on Mo Fan's face. Mo Fan was sent flying like a kite with its string cut. His teeth scattered across the ground, and half of his face was smashed into pieces. This saber is not bad. It's a pity that it was used by you. What a waste. Lin Xian held his saber in a reverse grip and slashed out. Mo Fan rose to his feet. He was about to lose his temper when he was slashed in half. He roared madly as his soul escaped. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? Do you know who I am? Before he could finish his words, another slap landed on him, and his soul dimmed. Didn't you say you wanted to break my limbs? Cripple my cultivation? I'll fulfill your wish. Wung! The saber slashed at the soul. The saber shook as if it was roaring. Endless purple flames burned. However, it couldn't leave Lin Xian's palm. Damn it! How dare you? The people of Misty Peak were enraged. They pointed their stardust finger, and terrifying starlight surrounded them as they charged towards Lin Xian. At the same time, the elders of the Thousand Mountain Cave also made their move. The two holy rulers descended together and enveloped Lin Xian. A terrifying aura surged out. Xueqi cried out in alarm and quickly retreated. Lin Xian blocked the starlight with his saber, but he didn't make a move. What? Are you going to ignore the rules in front of the whole world? Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven's face has been lost because of you. Stop! The Holy Heaven's old ancestor roared furiously. A monstrous aura of a great sage surged out and swept out in all directions. Everyone stopped. No one dared to make a move against Lin Xian. Xianhai's expression changed. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor couldn't be allowed to live. He went too far. He actually dared to attack the people of Misty Peak. It's unavoidable to make a mistake in a battle on the stage. However, even if he deserves to die, we shouldn't be the ones to do it. After this matter is over, we will personally hand him over to Misty Peak and let them deal with him. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor gave face to Misty Peak and protected Lin Xian at the same time. To be honest, he was only protecting Lin Xian because he wanted to make things difficult for Black Ice Ancestor. After all, if Black Ice Ancestor really joined hands with Misty Peak, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him. Therefore, he couldn't let this matter go smoothly. He was the one who had secretly sent the black-robed holy ruler. Now that Lin Xian had displayed such great strength, he couldn't let Lin Xian die. Lin Xian was stunned. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor was protecting him? He didn't know the Holy Heaven's old ancestor at all. However, after thinking about it, he understood. His lips curled up into a smile. Did I pass? Xianhai gritted his teeth and said, You passed? The surrounding people were stunned. They had never thought that a battle servant with the cultivation of a holy venerate would successfully pass the test. How could this guy be so strong? He had actually defeated Mo Fan. Not only that, but he had also taken the holy ruler's weapon with his bare hands. This guy's body was at least at the level of a holy ruler. Is he really a holy venerate? I have a feeling that he was hiding his strength. Many people exclaimed in surprise. What's going on with this battle servant? The people from Thousand Mountain Cave also started to investigate. They wanted to find Lin Xian's secret. Xueqi also heaved a sigh of relief. As long as the elders didn't join hands, Lin Xian shouldn't have any problems with the rest. She might have seen Lin Xian kill a holy ruler elder with her own eyes. Furthermore, to prevent these people from investigating Lin Xian's secret, she quickly stood out and said, all right, only 3 people have passed. Next, I will fight with these 3 people. If you can defeat me, you can become my husband. The final battle was about to begin. The crowd held their breaths. They wondered who among the 3 would be able to defeat Xueqi. Someone sneered. Needless to say, it would definitely be Xingqian from Misty Peak. Apart from him, would the other 2 have any chance of winning? As for the battle servant, he wouldn't be a match for a holy king. As for the black-robed man, he was extremely mysterious. However, young Master Xingqian wouldn't let him off. Let me go first. As Xueqi's voice echoed out, a person came to the arena. It was the black-robed man. Xingqian furrowed his brows. Who is this person? He unexpectedly dared to steal my limelight. In all honesty, he had wanted to go first because he didn't want any undue delay. But now the black-robed man had already gone up, and it was too late for him to say anything. I want to see what kind of power you have to dare to steal from me. Xingqian sneered coldly. Xueqi's expression was ice-cold as she looked at the black-robed man. This black-robed man was extremely mysterious and strange. She must be careful. She couldn't lose this battle, and she couldn't afford to lose it. However, it was fortunate that she was now the 9 Yin tribe's inheritor. Her power was greater than before. She waved her hand, and a blue sword appeared in her hand. Black frost started spreading out from the sword. She was really a peerless fairy. When Xueqi used her laws, the eyes of the black-robed man opposite her shone brightly. With a stomp of his foot, he rushed back like lightning. Chapter 4473. The black-robed man was quite swift, and he tore through the void and arrived in front of Xueqi. A gale swept out, and his palm descended mercilessly. Bang! The void in all directions was shattered by the palm, and the spectators in the vicinity felt an indescribable pressure. All of this showed how terrifying this strike was. This was a Saint King's all-out strike, and it was obvious that the black-robed man wanted to end the battle quickly. Xingqian took a deep breath, and he couldn't help but get worried. The black-robed man's power was beyond his imagination, and he wondered whether Xueqi could block him. If she was defeated, it would be difficult to resolve the situation. He was so quick. Xueqi was surprised, and she slashed out with her blue sword. She managed to block the black-robed man's palm. When the two weapons collided, it was as if a saint weapon had collided, and the power that erupted out was like the sun. So strong. This person's physique is actually so tyrannical. Xueqi was surprised. Black frost erupted out of her sword, and it swept toward the black-robed man's palm. It quickly froze it and sealed it in ice. The black-robed man's body was quite powerful, but her ice was even more terrifying. Crack, crack. In the twinkling of an eye, the black-robed man's palm was covered by black frost, and the frost even spread toward his body. The black-robed man's pupils contracted. The frost made him feel like his arm was about to shatter. The power of the laws in his body started circulating, and it became extremely slow. Hateful! The black-robed man roared as he punched the black-robed man's arm with his other hand. The black-robed man's arm cracked open, and the frost shattered. At the same time, the black-robed man lashed out with his foot, which seemed like a heavenly blade. Xueqi retreated quickly, and she didn't resist the terrifying power contained within the kick. As she retreated, boundless black frost formed a pair of black wings on her back. The wings unfolded, and as they fluttered, the whole sky was filled with frost. The frost was formed by the Nine body, and it was much more powerful than ordinary frost. It was even more terrifying than the mysterious ice art. When the black frost appeared, the expressions of everyone present changed drastically. They all felt like their bodies and souls were about to be sealed in ice. How could this frost be so terrifying? He had just become a Saint King, so his power shouldn't be so terrifying. The Paradise's experts were all startled. Even Xian Hai was startled. This isn't right, as this isn't the mysterious ice art's power. He also cultivated the profound ice incantation, so he was naturally very clear about this kind of power. Therefore, he looked at Black Ice Ancestor in confusion. Black Ice Ancestor, as the creator of the Black Ice technique, also shook her head. That's right, this was not the power of the Black Ice extinction. However, it was much stronger than the Black Ice tactics. It was obvious that Qi had obtained some kind of good fortune in the land of frost. Father, what do you think of this battle? Xian Hai asked nervously. Black Ice Ancestor's eyes flickered. I was worried before. After all, Qi had just broken through, and her realm was not stable. But now, after seeing the black frost, I was relieved. Qi had won this battle. Sure enough, the sky was filled with ice. The black-robed man's expression changed. The threat of the ice caused his heart to beat wildly. Moreover, he had come here in disguise, so it was impossible for him to use his most proficient divine ability. Otherwise, his identity would be exposed in an instant. At that time, he would end up in a miserable state. Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy, and his eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying radiance. Endless precepts gathered in his hand, forming a flower of the great path. Then a cold voice sounded. Wither! The flower of the great path quickly withered, and a gloomy aura swept out in all directions. The people in the surroundings felt their scalps go numb. What kind of power was this? It was so terrifying. It could take away all life. Lin Xian also frowned. It was similar to his death precepts. It was indeed a very dangerous divine ability. Xue Qi also felt it, and the black wings on her back released ice that blocked everything. The world was frozen. Endless black runes appeared on her body, and they emitted a mysterious aura. At this moment, the ice was even more terrifying. It was as if she had turned into an ice god, and it swept out in all directions. The world was frozen, and the surroundings were sealed in ice. The black-robed man's precepts froze in the void, and endless ice appeared on his body. In the end, he had no choice but to escape with his soul, which was why he was not sealed in ice. However, his body had already been sealed in the arena. The black-robed man smiled bitterly. I admit defeat. Xue Qi waved her hand, and the ice in the sky disappeared. The black-robed man's soul and body recovered, and he walked out of the arena. Soon after, he tore open the void and disappeared. What a powerful ice! Is this the black ice tactics? Many people cried out in alarm. The people in the vicinity were all dumbfounded. Xue Qi's power was beyond their expectations. Even some of the veteran saints were surprised. Xue Qi's power didn't seem like someone who had just made a breakthrough. The ethereal peaks people smiled, and Xingqian nodded. It was his turn to fight. He would defeat Xue Qi personally, and then marry her. Hateful! Yan Mo frowned, and his expression became gloomy. The holy heaven's old ancestor also frowned, as he was the one who had sent this person. He had thought that defeating Xue Qi wouldn't be a problem. However, Xue Qi's frost technique was beyond his expectations. She wasn't using the frost technique, and this was why his plan had failed. On the other side, the black ice ancestor transmitted her voice to go, and asked someone to follow the black-robed man. I suspect that someone is secretly attacking him. Xianhai nodded and sent someone to follow the black-robed man. Xingqian walked down from the arena. He wore armor, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He looked like a young war god, and many people looked up to him. Don't worry. I won't injure you in this battle. Xingqian came to the arena and said with a smile. Xue Qi snorted coldly. Please call me by my name. I don't know you that well. Moreover, you won't be able to win this battle. Xue Qi snorted coldly, and she waved the long sword in her hand, causing black ice to sweep out once again. Let me show you my Star Clan secret technique. Starlight illuminates the heavens and earth. Xingqian roared, and the mountains shook. The heavens collapsed, and the earth cracked. Boundless starlight rushed out of his body, and it illuminated the 9 heavens. It turned into terrifying sword energy, and it descended from the sky. The starlight and the ice collided, and it seemed like 2 worlds were fighting. Countless cracks spread out in all directions. Xingqian is so powerful. He is even more terrifying than the black-robed man. He wondered if Xue Qi would be able to resist it. She definitely can't. She is destined to become Xingqian's woman. The ethereal peaks, people sneered coldly. They were very confident in Xingqian's strength. Ice seal. Xue Qi was like an ice goddess, and she used her ice power to freeze the entire world. The starlight in the sky was also sealed in the air. Dugaju was surprised. He knew that the Star Clan starlight was extremely terrifying, and ordinary ice couldn't resist it. Even the ice tactics wouldn't be able to seal it. What kind of inheritance did Xue Qi use? Why did it shock him? Chapter 4474. Xingqian was also taken aback. She's really worthy of being my woman. She's really powerful. When the time comes, we will get married and join forces. We will surely be able to sweep the whole world. Even though his magical power was sealed by ice, Xingqian was still calm and confident. He formed a seal with his palms and shot out a Milky Way shadow. Countless starlight revolved around it, and it seemed like a starry sky was pressing down. The Milky Way shadow shattered the ice and frost that filled the sky. The boundless power contained within it was extremely terrifying. The Milky Way seal pressed down from the sky. Wherever it passed, the black ice and frost would shatter. However, when it came close to Xueqi, the Milky Way seal was blocked. It seemed like it couldn't advance any further. When the Misty Peaks members saw this, they furrowed their brows. The ice was really strange. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. It seemed like Xueqi had just gotten the 9 Yin inheritance. Otherwise, it would be easy for her to seal Xingqian with her sage realm cultivation and the 9 Yin inheritance. After Xueqi blocked the Milky Way seal, she started to counterattack. Countless black ice and frost turned into a rain of arrows that flew out and penetrated the sky. The Milky Way shadow was sealed. Moreover, the rain of arrows flew toward Xingqian. It seemed like it wanted to seal him as well. The armor on Xingqian's body shone brightly as he formed a seal with his palms and roared toward the sky. A Milky Way appeared on his body, and it revolved around him. Boom, boom, boom. The black ice and frost that filled the sky bombarded the Milky Way shadow, and a terrifying sound echoed out. The Milky Way shadow shook, but it didn't shatter. What a powerful defense! The 1,000 Mountain Paradise's members exclaimed in surprise. The Milky Way shadow was too terrifying, and it seemed like it could block everything. The other Paradise's members were also surprised. Xueqi was already in an invincible position. They wondered how Xueqi would continue to fight. Lin Xian furrowed his brows, and a golden radiance appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, a smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. It seemed like Xingqian would suffer a loss. He discovered that even though the ice and frost that filled the sky was blocked, it was still arranged in a certain way. Even though it was quite well hidden, as an expert of formations, he was able to discover it in an instant. The 2 black wings on Xueqi's back turned into ice frost swords and flew out. In the end, the black wings and the Milky Way and Xueqi, after passing through countless layers of frost, the starry river became dim and lightless. Then it cracked open. However, Stardust laughed loudly as he walked out. He realized that his opponent's ice attack had been completely blocked. It seemed like Xueqi had consumed a lot of her energy to cast such a magical ability. Therefore, it was time for him to counterattack. The Milky Way seal appeared in his hand again, and he waved it forward. The Milky Way seal blossomed with radiance, and the power that erupted from it was incomparable. It seemed to be even stronger than before. This Stardust had been fighting for so long, yet he still had such strength. Could it be that he had been hiding his strength before? Countless cries of surprise rang out. They knew that Xueqi was in danger. However, at this moment, a smile appeared on Xueqi's pale face. She formed a seal with her palm. The formation was activated. With a bellow, the scattered frost in the surroundings suddenly began to revolve, emanating a brilliant glow as it formed a massive formation that shrouded the entire area. The icebound array. As soon as it was formed, the terrifying ice completely enveloped the Stardust. Stardust let out a crazy roar. The armor on his body became dim in an instant. It seemed like he was going to be completely frozen. It was unexpectedly a formation. Moreover, it was an extremely terrifying formation. When did he set it up? The people in the surroundings were all dumbfounded. Why didn't they discover it before? The pupils of the Ethereal Peaks people also contracted. Dugaju's eyes shone with a cold light as he realized that this was the case. After thinking about it for a moment, he discovered that the icy arrow rain wasn't just a powerful magical ability attack, but it also contained the power of a formation. After the attack was destroyed, the array formation quietly condensed again. He had long heard that Xueqi wasn't just an apex expert, but she was also an expert in formations. Now, it seemed like the rumors weren't false. It seemed like Stardust had been careless. However, with Stardust's trump card, he shouldn't lose. Stardust's expression became ice cold, and a ferocious look appeared on his face. Hateful. He unexpectedly used a formation to attack me. He was completely infuriated. As a roar echoed out, starlight rushed out of his body. A stardust stone was formed between his eyebrows, and it blossomed with an unparalleled radiance. It seemed like he had turned into the brightest star in the world. As the power in his body erupted, it swept out in all directions and tore a crack in the formation. He became even stronger. Many people cried out in alarm. The formation's terror had already made them despair. They hadn't expected that he would be able to break through the formation's restraint. Everything had come to an end. Stardust flew out of the formation's crack and charged toward Xueqi. He stretched out a finger, which was surrounded by a ray of starlight. It was the star spirit finger. It was said that this finger could shatter the boundless starry sky, and it was one of the ethereal peak's most terrifying magical abilities. They hadn't expected that he would actually use it at this moment. The battle had come to an end. A smile appeared on Dugaju's face. Mo Fan and the others from the ethereal peak also smiled. They had won. The other people also sighed. Even though they had been defeated by such a magical ability, it was still an honorable defeat. Xueqi took a deep breath. She could clearly sense how terrifying this finger was. However, she wouldn't lose. In the next moment, her body kept changing, and she left behind countless ice-cold afterimages as she extended her jade-like hands. 9 in divine claw. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A terrifying black shadow streaked across the sky, and a roar echoed out as Stardust flew out. Scratches appeared on his body, and his body was penetrated. Fresh blood instantly flowed out of his body. What happened? Everyone was startled. Dugaju stood up, and a terrifying radiance burst out of his eyes, which seemed capable of penetrating the heavens and the earth. Yuehua, Mo Fan, and the others were also startled. Was the star spirit finger broken? What was that black shadow a moment ago? What is this? The 1,000 mountain caves elders were also startled. Even the 2 old ancestors furrowed their brows. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Could it be the 9 in divine claw's most powerful technique? He had obtained the 9 sons' divine claw's inheritance, and he knew that it wasn't as simple as just the divine body. There were also some terrifying, powerful techniques. It seemed like the technique that Xueqi had just used was one of those techniques. You have lost. Xueqi withdrew her palm and spoke coldly. On the other side, Stardust, who had fallen below the arena, couldn't believe what had happened. How is this possible? He had been defeated. He had become a Saint King 3 years ago, and he had practiced the ethereal peaks cultivation techniques. How could he have been defeated? Stardust gritted his teeth and roared. He had just stood up, but the wounds on his body suddenly opened up. His face turned pale, and he couldn't use his power. Not only had he been injured, but his wounds also contained a powerful ice-cold aura that froze the laws and meridians in his body. His internal organs had been injured, and if he didn't recover in time, his foundation would be damaged. Chapter 4475. Wang. Dugaju took a step forward and arrived before Xingchen. He looked at Xingchen and checked his injuries. Then his face turned cold. It was even more serious than he had imagined. He made his move, striking out with the power of laws. At the same time, he took out a secret pill. quickly bring him back to rest. Mo Fan and the others quickly helped Xingchen to his feet and brought him to the side. Duge Wuji asked coldly as he looked at Xueqi, "What cultivation technique did Xueqi use a moment ago?" It did not seem to be a martial art from the Thousand Mountain Cave. The others were also puzzled and looked over. Xueqi said that she had gone to the cold mountain before, and she had obtained some good fortune there. Since the Misty Peak has many abilities, they shouldn't be interested in my little summoning. Stardust has already lost. I think he no longer has the qualifications to marry me. Xueqi looked at Dugaju. Dugaju's face darkened. The surrounding people also held their breaths, not daring to say anything. After a while, Dugaju finally spoke. But of course, the people of Ethereal Peak were true to their words. Since they had lost, they had lost. Puff. Xingchen, who was in the midst of recuperating from his injuries, spurted a mouthful of blood upon hearing those words, and his face turned incomparably pale. Damn it, this time he really lost all his face. However, he swore that next time he would definitely defeat her and marry her. Who would have thought that young noble Stardust would fail? That's right. It seems like the groom selection competition has come to an end. No one could marry Fairy Xueqi. I'm guessing that young Master Stardust will definitely make a comeback next time. Sighs could be heard, as everyone seemed to have forgotten about Lin Xian's existence. It was as if Stardust's failure was the end. At this moment, Xueqi said, "You seem to have forgotten a person. I will challenge the third person. Is there anyone else?" Right, it's that battle servant. Even young Master Stardust had been defeated. How could he possibly succeed? That's right. Going up there would only be suicide. The people of Ethereal Peak shook their heads. The people from the other heavenly abodes were also surprised. They couldn't understand why Fairy Xueqi was so persistent. Could it be that she thought highly of this battle servant? The elders of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven naturally thought of this as well. They felt that it was a fantasy. Xianhai said, There's no need for a battle servant." "You can't say that. Since he's already here, I'll give him a chance." The Yen Mo also laughed coldly. The people they had secretly sent had failed. However, this Lin Xian seemed to have a good understanding of formations. Perhaps he would be able to achieve unexpected results. Damn it! Xianhai gritted his teeth. On the ground, Xueqi looked at Lin Xian and said, "Come up. Let's fight the final battle." Lin Xian stood up and walked forward. He came to the arena and ignored the gazes of the others. Lin Xian said as he looked ahead, "Bring out your full strength, I won't hold back either." He was looking forward to the battle between the 9 Yin and 9 Yang. What kind of scene would it be? Xueqi nodded. In the next moment, the 9 Yin body was activated, and endless black frost appeared on her body. On the other side, Lin Xian roared at the sky. The 9 Suns' divine flame appeared on his body, and a scorching aura swept out in all directions. Half of the sky was instantly covered. What kind of aura was that? So valiant. The crowd was disdainful at first, but when they felt the aura of that power, they were stunned. They were all stunned. This person's physique was too unusual. He had mastered some kind of ancient body refining technique. Countless people were shocked. The elders were also stunned. Dugaju's eyes shone with a cold light. The 2 great sages were equally astonished. Why was this battle servant so strange? Black Ice Ancestor frowned. The Holy Heavens Ancestor, who was beside her, smiled. He wanted to see the scene after the victory. "Be careful. I'm going to attack with my full strength," Lin Xian said in a low voice. Then he stomped his foot and charged forward. He didn't use any laws or magical powers. He only used the power of his divine body to attack. His fists seemed to have turned into a sun, and it swept across the sky, shattering the void. On the other side, Xueqi also attacked, and her black palm struck out. Boom, boom, boom. The confrontation between the two's physiques was extremely strong. Cracks appeared on the entire arena, which shocked the crowd. Nothing happened when they fought with Xingqian. However, at this moment, the arena was shattered. It was unbelievable. Boundless ice appeared on Lin Xian's body and froze him. The 9 suns' divine fire swept across and melted the black ice. Not only that, but the flames also enveloped Xueqi. The black wings on her back blocked the flames. However, she had just obtained the 9 body. Her physique was no match for Lin Xian's. However, her cultivation was much higher than Lin Xian's. She was a saint ruler. Therefore, they were evenly matched. Buzz. Lin Xian seemed to have turned into a sun god of war. His golden fist was invincible. The people in the surrounding heavens were dumbfounded. The geniuses in the heavens felt despair. Is he really just a battle servant? Why do I feel like he has surpassed us? They all lowered their heads in front of such power. Is this guy really so strong? Mo Fan and the others from the Misty Peak felt their scalps go numb. Mo Fan was furious when he was defeated, and he wanted to take revenge. He thought it was because he was careless. However, after witnessing this battle, he didn't want to take revenge anymore. He reckoned that he wouldn't be able to withstand even a single punch from such a terrifying attack. On the other side, Xueqi's body was encircled by ice, and she seemed like an ice goddess. She opened a world of ice and frost. As soon as the fist entered her ice domain, it slowed down. Bang! Their fists and palms collided, and a deafening sound echoed out. The universal laws turned into divine chains that tore apart the sky. They exchanged hundreds of blows, and everything in their path was shattered. The crowd was shocked by this. Be careful, as I'm about to use my ultimate attack. Xueqi warned him as she used the 9 divine claw. A black shadow streaked across the sky, and Lin Xian felt like his body was being attacked violently. It was as if a sacred weapon had struck his body, and he felt like his body was about to be torn apart. He roared as the 9 suns opened the sky. He opened his palms and tore apart the void. The sky and earth were instantly split open, and a large crack extended into the distance. At this moment, he attacked forcefully, and the black shadow that filled the sky was instantly torn apart. Not good. The strongest absolute art was actually broken. The people from the 1,000 Mountain Wonderland cried out in alarm. It was this attack that had defeated Xingqian. However, it couldn't do anything to Lin Xian now. Is Xueqi going to be defeated? Lin Xian waved his fists, which carried an invincible aura. At this moment, his divine body emitted a dazzling light, and when he waved his 9 fists, the sky and earth were shattered. Nothing could stop him. Xueqi could only defend herself passively. 9 layers of ice formed on her body to block his attacks. In the end, the ice that filled the sky was shattered, and she was knocked back. Her face was pale. Xueqi had been defeated. Many people were shocked, and Xianhai and the others stood up in disbelief. How is this possible? The Misty Peak was stupefied. Xingqian even spouted a mouthful of blood. No, he roared crazily. No one had expected such an outcome. Xueqi had been defeated. Moreover, the victor was a battle servant. Are you all right? Lin Xian looked at Xueqi, who was below the arena, and asked concernedly. Xueqi shook her head and said, I'm all right. Your body is really strong, and I will surely catch up to you one day. She revealed a beautiful smile. Soon after, she said, since you have won, you will be my husband from now on. Her voice was like 10,000 claps of thunder, and it stunned everyone. Xianhai jumped out and said, I don't agree. Xingqian also roared, I also don't agree. How can you marry a battle servant? No way. Am I dreaming? Damn it. Is Xueqi really going to marry a battle servant? Is this a joke? The people in the surroundings went into an uproar. The 1,000 mountain paradises people went crazy. If this matter spread, they would lose all face. She said coldly, "Why can't I?" "I said that I will marry anyone who defeats me. Now, Lin Xian defeated me, so I must fulfill my promise. I don't believe that you didn't want to marry me, and that's why you came up with such a plan. You lost to him on purpose." Xingchen roared. He couldn't accept this. "That's right, we also found it suspicious. You can't be weaker than him." "What? Do you want to go back on your word? Do you want to go back on your word in front of everyone?" Lin Xian laughed loudly and looked at Xingchen. "You don't accept it? Come over and fight me. I will personally show you the disparity between us. Is this guy challenging the Misty Peak?" The people in the surroundings felt like they had gone crazy. Xingchen was so angry that he clenched his teeth and walked over. However, Yu Hua said, "No, you just got injured, and your power isn't at its peak. Lad, do you want to take advantage of him?" Upon hearing this, Lin Xian laughed heartily. "Take advantage of him? He is a saint king, while I am just a saint venerable. We fought fairly, yet you still think that he is at a disadvantage? What a misty peak. It turns out that all of you are so cowardly. Fine. I will fight you with one hand. Do you dare to come over?" At this moment, Lin Xian was like a peerless overlord, smiling proudly in all directions. "You're courting death. I will kill you with my own hands." Stardust was completely enraged. He was a peerless heaven's favorite who was above the grotto heavens. Now that he was being challenged by a battle servant, how could he not fight? His figure flickered, and he flew out. Speaking of which, come on, brat. I will let you know the consequences of offending me. With one hand behind his back, Lin Xian said, "I'll give you a handicap with one hand. Otherwise, you people from the Misty Peak will think that I'm taking advantage of your precarious situation." Xingchen snorted coldly. He didn't say anything else and directly attacked. Galaxy Seal. He formed a seal with his palm and struck out. A river of stars condensed in his palm. With a single strike, it tore through the heavens and earth. Stardust didn't hold anything back in this attack. Lin Xian attacked with a single hand. His palm formed a seal, and the man-ruler seal also struck out. At this moment, he was incomparably domineering, as if a celestial emperor had descended. Boom! Their superpowers collided in the air. With a crack, the galaxy seal shattered. The man-ruler seal swept out with the momentum of Mount Tai. Boom! Xingchen's face changed drastically, and he frantically retreated. In an instant, his arm was broken and turned into a blood mist. Half of his body was completely shattered, and he flew out. He lost. In just one move, Xingchen was seriously injured. Could it be that the gap between the two of them was really that big? Xingchen roared to the sky, "I'm going to kill you." His glabella split open, and a wisp of starlight surrounded his finger. Star's spirit finger. With a point of his finger, it tore through the void with a supreme aura. Lin Xian snorted coldly and struck out with the man-ruler seal again. That terrifying palm made the heavens and earth shatter again. After one strike, the star spirit finger turned into ashes. Xingchen's body was torn into pieces. His crazy roar made everyone's scalp tingle. The people from the Misty Peak were stunned. This guy really defeated Xingchen with one hand. Why? Do you still think you're qualified to compete with me? Lin Xian looked at him with disdain. You. Xingchen was so angry that he vomited blood. Lin Xian said, "I've already given you a handicap with one hand, and you're only a saint venerable. Are you still using your injuries as an excuse? If you're not convinced, I'll give you time to recover to your peak. But when the time comes, I'll fight you to the death. Do you dare?" Xingchen was completely stunned, and he fainted from anger. His senior brother, Yu Hua, and the others also rushed over. "You're courting death." Yu Hua waved her hand, and a flying sword like a rainbow streaked across the sky. This was a sage artifact, and Yu Hua was at the peak. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His 5 fingers formed a claw and directly grabbed the flying sword. Then he enveloped it. With a crack, the illusion of a huge mountain appeared on his palm, as if it had crossed time and space. Mountain embracing seal. It directly broke the flying sword into 2. Yu Hua vomited blood and flew backward. Her sage artifact was broken, and she was also seriously injured. His 5 fingers opened, and the broken flying sword fell from his palm. Lin Xian looked around like a supreme god. Who else was not convinced? Come out! At this moment, he was so strong that ethereal peak could not raise their heads. Everyone was stunned and silent. Dugaju's face was as cold as water. This time, he had really lost face. I'm not convinced. Xianhai walked out. You're just a battle servant. What qualifications do you have to marry my daughter? What qualifications do I have? Lin Xian sneered. I've won. Can't you see it? I defeated Xing Chun single-handedly. Are you blind? What qualifications do you think I have? I'm honest. Strength is my qualification. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and he did not back down. You're courting death. Xian Hai snorted. Where's the 3-eyed elder? In the distance, a woman flew over. She was wearing a Taoist robe and had a 3rd eye between her brows. At this moment, she looked at Lin Xian and sighed. You're a top genius in other worlds, but here, you're still just a battle servant. So what if you win? Kneel down. The 3rd eye between her brows bloomed and formed a divine light that pierced through Lin Xian. The others were in despair. This guy's fate was really tragic. They were afraid that he would be completely suppressed. Lin Xian sneered and waved his hand, shattering the divine light. You want me to kneel down? Just you? How is that possible? The 3-eyed elder was stunned. You're not affected? He used the life and death curse, but Lin Xian stood there with a cold face. He was not affected at all. How did you break the life and death curse? Lin Xian did not reply. He stood there with his hands behind his back, as if he was going to be the enemy of the entire world. Damn it. Men, take him down. Xian Hai shouted angrily when he saw this. Countless saint kings in the surroundings stood up. So what if he was strong? Could he fight against the entire grotto heaven? At this moment, the sagely heaven's old ancestor snorted. Enough! Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Xian Hai, since Xueqi set the rules herself, you have to follow them. Otherwise, what will the world think of our 1,000 mountain grotto heaven? Chapter 4477. That's right. Elder Xian Hai, you went back on your words. What do you think of 1,000 Mountain Grotto? Yan Emo also sneered. The 2 of them were also shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to win. Since that was the case, they would go with the flow. This way, Black Ice Ancestor would not be able to work with Misty Peak. To them, this was simply great news. They were naturally happy to see this happen. Xian Hai was about to vomit blood. The other party was an ancestor. He did not dare to go against him. He could only look at his father. Black Ice Ancestor's face was cold. This matter was too strange. This kid was not controlled by the life and death curse. I suspect that Xueqi was deceived by him. He looked at Dugaju and said, Taoist Duga, I've let you see a joke. However, I will give you a satisfactory explanation. After saying that, he stood up and looked around. Everyone, the martial arts competition has ended. 1,000 Mountain Grotto has something to deal with. I hope you can make it easy for us. The people of the other grotto heavens and ancient race felt their scalps go numb when they heard this. They stood up and took their leave one after another. At the same time, they looked at Lin Xian with pity. This kid, so what if he won? He was still going to die. Just as everyone was about to leave, a cold snort sounded. Humph, Thousand Mountain Grotto, you have made me lose. Everyone was stunned. Who dared to challenge Thousand Mountain Grotto at this time? Xian Hai was also angry. Who was so courting death? Before he finished speaking, he was stunned. He realized that the person who spoke was Jian Wuk. Jian Wuk stood up and smiled. I said it. Do you have a problem with that? Xian Hai was sweating profusely. He did not dare to speak. Black Ice Ancestor frowned. Taoist Wuk, what do you mean? Jian Wuk said proudly, my meaning is clear. This young man defeated a sacred king with one hand as a sacred venerate. He was a heaven-defying expert. Even in Misty Peak, there were not many people with such talent. But you want to be a battle servant? And you want to destroy him? How stupid! If Thousand Mountain Grotto does not want such a genius, then Xiantian Pavilion will. Jian Wuk's words resounded in the surroundings. When the surrounding people heard this, they were all stunned. As for the sacred kings, their pupils constricted. Xiantian Pavilion. This name was so familiar, it was like a thunderclap reverberating in his ears, because it was also a force that was not weaker than the Misty Peak. The only difference was that Ethereal Peak controlled this region, while Xiantian Pavilion was the overlord of another region. He just didn't expect that the people from Xiantian Pavilion would actually come here this time. And he even said such words. Xue Qi stood there and looked at Lin Xian, who was standing proudly in front of her. She heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, she was extremely nervous just now. If the Heavenly Grotto had made a move, she would have risked everything to fight against Lin Xian, or even leave this place. Who would have thought that in the end, the Xiantian Pavilion's people would actually stand up and think so highly of Lin Xian? In the Black Sea, Yenemo was stunned. Even the two patriarchs were stunned. Did Xiantian Pavilion think highly of him? Truth be told, it wasn't that they didn't know that Zhang Xian was a genius, but they were used to being high and mighty. It was only natural that they would find it intolerable to be injured by an ant in their eyes. So, what if he was a genius? They would still trample him to death. But now, Xiantian Pavilion's words shocked them. If Xiantian Pavilion made a move to protect Lin Xian, they wouldn't dare to make a move. At this moment, Dugaju stood up. Taoist Wuk, I don't agree with your words. This young man is a peerless genius, but Ethereal Peak is filled with talents. There are too many people who can surpass him. Too many? Jian Wuk sneered. Then you better find one for me now. With the cultivation of a Saint Venerable who could compete with him, then I will leave Xiantian Pavilion. Dugaju didn't say anything. To be honest, he really couldn't find one. A half-step Saint King with a Saint King's weapon could, at most, compete with a Saint King. It was too difficult to defeat a Saint King. Not to mention a Saint Venerable defeating a Saint King with his bare hands. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Seeing that Zhang Xian was silent, Jian Wuk sneered. Then he turned his head and asked, Little fellow, are you willing to join Xiantian Pavilion? Lin Xian raised his head and looked at Jian Wuk. He cupped his fists and said, Thank you, senior. I am willing. Although Lin Xian didn't know Jian Wuk, he could feel Jian Wuk's kindness. This was completely different from the Holy Heaven's old ancestor helping him. Good. Jian Wuk laughed and took out a token. This was the Xiantian token. From now on, you are a disciple of Xiantian Pavilion. The people in the surrounding grottos were all stunned. Some of the geniuses' eyes turned red. A disciple of Xiantian Pavilion. This was the same as joining Ethereal Peak. This was their lifelong wish and dream. They had worked hard for their entire lives and still hadn't achieved this goal. Now, Jian Wuk had become a member of Xiantian Pavilion so easily. Even Xian Hai's pupils shrank. This meant that Jian Wuk's status was different. Jian Wuk laughed. Why, now that I am a member of Xiantian Pavilion, I am qualified to marry Xue Qi, right? What? Xian Hai was stunned. Elder Xianbing also sighed. He closed his eyes and said helplessly, "Yes." Then he looked at Dugaju. "Brother Dugu, it seems like Xueqi and young Master Xingchen aren't fated to be together. I will return all the gifts you gave me. After this matter, I will personally go to Ethereal Peak and apologize." Dugaju snorted and waved his hand. The laws in the sky brought Xingchen, Yu Hua, and the others into the sky and left. Today was too embarrassing. Ethereal Peak was defeated by a battle servant to the point where they couldn't raise their heads. They didn't have the face to stay here anymore. Very good. Then let's start preparing. I still want to attend the wedding. Jian Wuck laughed. Black Ice old ancestor said, "Brother Wuck, you must be joking. Although I have acknowledged the relationship between the two of them, the wedding isn't something that can be held in a day. Our 1,000 mountain grottos needs to prepare well. All right, I will wait. Don't make Xiantian Pavilion wait for too long." Jian Wuck said coldly. Then he looked at Lin Xian. "Kid, report to Xiantian Pavilion when you are free. Your token is a symbol of your identity. When you are in danger, you can use the array on the token to call for help from Xiantian Pavilion. Xiantian Pavilion will immediately send experts over. I want to see who dares to go against Xiantian Pavilion." His last words were for Black Ice old ancestor and 1,000 mountain grottos. Indeed, the people from 1,000 mountain grottos felt their scalps go numb. They didn't dare to fight against such a terrifying existence. Jian Wuck left, but the matter didn't seem to have stopped. After the people from the other grottos left, the news spread throughout the world. Countless people were shocked. They didn't expect the marriage by joust to be such a thing. They thought of countless possibilities. They even thought that the final winner would be Ethereal Peak, but things were out of their expectations. A battle servant had actually won and become a disciple of the Xiantian Pavilion. Chapter 4478. For a time, many people were shocked and envious. It could be said that everyone in the world was talking about this matter. In the Misty Peak, Xingchen and the others had become the target of ridicule. In the Star Pavilion, Xingchen was roaring crazily as the mountains were shattered. He was so angry that he went crazy. "Lin Xian, I don't care who you are. I want you to die. I will make you die without a burial place." Xingchen's anger was burning. On the other side, in the 1,000 mountain cave, the atmosphere was also very strange. In the Dark Ice Palace, Black Ice Ancestor and Xian Hai were in the palace, and the atmosphere was silent. Xian Hai was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. "Father, what should we do next? Should we let this kid be with Xueqi?" "Of course not." Black Ice Ancestor's eyes were also shining with a terrifying light. "Even if he is talented, so what? Even if he becomes a disciple of the Dark Sky Pavilion, so what? No matter how strong he is, he can't compete with the Star Tribe. Although Xingchen was defeated, he is still a member of the Star Tribe. You know how terrifying the Star Tribe is in Ethereal Peak. I don't think I need to tell you. No matter how strong this kid is, his background is too weak. We won't choose him. However, we don't have to oppose him because we will offend the Dark Sky Pavilion. We will think of a way to send Xueqi to the Misty Peak to cultivate. In this way, the two of them will separate. When Xueqi sees how strong the Star Tribe is, she will change her mind. However, before that, I have to go to the Misty Peak and apologize to them personally in the Divine Heaven Pavilion. The Divine Heaven Old Ancestor and Yen Mo were also together. Yen Mo said with a smile, "Although this matter was unexpected, Xingchen didn't marry Xueqi." "Yes," the Divine Heaven Old Ancestor nodded. "Although this kid is strange, things are going according to our plan. However, I guess that Black Ice Ancestor will find a way to contact the Misty Peak. It seems like I have to go to the Misty Peak. The two great saints were preparing to take action secretly. On the other side, Xueqi and Lin Xian were very relaxed. Without any worries, the two of them returned to their mansion. Only Lin Xian and Xueqi were here. This was why Xueqi didn't put on an iceberg appearance, and a beautiful smile appeared on her face. "Husband, how are you going to compensate me for injuring me earlier?" Lin Xian smiled and said, "Then let's do it again. Let's see if your 9 body is more powerful than my 9 young divine body." He took Xueqi with him and walked into the hall. The two great physiques merged perfectly once again. In the following days, Lin Xian and Xueqi were together, and many people were envious of them. On this day, Xueqi and Lin Xian were quickly walking toward a mountain peak. The 1,000-mountain cave, as its name suggested, had many peaks, and one of them was called the first peak. The first peak contained an unparalleled spiritual pulse. The benefits one could obtain from cultivating here were undeniably huge. Only those with extraordinary status could come here. Xueqi possessed such a status. On this day, she and Lin Xian turned into streaks of light and landed on the first peak. "Stop." From inside, 3 figures walked out in an instant and shouted coldly. These 3 people were all Saint Kings, and they were in charge of guarding the first peak. "It's me." Xueqi took out a badge. The 3 Saint Kings said, "Greetings, Princess Xueqi. You haven't cultivated here for a long time." Xueqi nodded. "My palace is still there, right? Bring me there." After she spoke, she started walking forward. The 3 Saint Kings in front of her also opened up a path for her. However, when they saw that Lin Xian was about to follow her into the first peak, they walked out again and blocked his path. "You can't go in." Lin Xian furrowed his brows, while Xueqi's expression became gloomy. "Do you dare to block my path?" "Princess Xueqi, I don't think I need to explain how important the first peak is. Only certain people can enter it. You are qualified. However, this guy isn't qualified." The 3 Saint Kings' expressions were ice cold, and their faces were filled with killing intent as they stared at Lin Xian. Xueqi snorted coldly. "Who said that he isn't qualified? He's my husband. Do you think that he's qualified?" The 3 Saint Kings' expressions changed drastically. They had been guarding the first peak all this time, and they didn't know much about what had happened outside. They only knew that something had happened during Xueqi's contest for a spouse. However, they didn't expect that this person was Xueqi's husband. The 3 Saint Kings' expressions became gloomy. Xueqi asked once again, "Is my husband not qualified to enter it?" "Do you want me to ask the ancestor?" The 3 Saint Kings' expressions changed drastically, and the one leading them said, "Please come in." The 3 Saint Kings opened up a path for them. Xueqi and Lin Xian walked into the first peak. After they entered, Lin Xian felt that the power here was much stronger than outside, as expected of the 1,000-mountain paradise. Moreover, it was the 1,000-mountain paradise's first peak. Cultivating here could greatly shorten the time needed to make a breakthrough. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He said that he felt that he could make a breakthrough here and reach the peak of the Saint Venerable Realm. There weren't many people inside, and it seemed like this place wasn't a place that anyone could enter. When they went up, they encountered a group of people. It was a tall man who walked with a majestic gait and had a small mustache. He had a mustache, and there was an old man next to him. As they walked over, they saw Xueqi. The tall man stopped and smiled. "Sister Xueqi, long time no see. Senior brother Yan Hua." Xueqi nodded. Lin Xian raised his brows. Yan Hua? Could this person be from the Yan family too? It seemed like he was related to Yan Jiu. Yan Hua looked at Lin Xian and said, "Is this person the husband that Sister Xueqi chose? It's not that I want to criticize you, but even if my brother Yan Jiu is dead, you shouldn't have chosen such an aunt. My choice has nothing to do with you," Xueqi said coldly. At this moment, The old man next to her smiled. Princess Xueqi, our young master is doing this for your own good. Lin Xian frowned and looked at him. He said coldly, You are just a servant. Do you have the right to speak here? You are courting death. The old man was so angry that his whole body trembled. Although he was just an old servant, his strength had reached the Saint King realm, and his status was extraordinary. Now, the old man dared to reprimand him. He couldn't help but want to kill him. What was more hateful was that this guy was also a battle servant. What right did he have to reprimand him? Yen Hu sneered. Arrogant too arrogant. Don't think that just because you are with Xueqi, you have the right to be arrogant in front of me. I remember that you were just a battle servant before. You are just an ant. An ant? Humph! I defeated Xingchen from the Misty Peak. If you say that I am an ant, then what is Xingchen? Doesn't that mean that he is inferior to an ant? I will tell the world tomorrow that young master Yen Hu said that Xingchen is inferior to an ant. Damn it, I didn't say that. Yen Hu was instantly angry. If he said that, he would offend the Misty Peak. He didn't dare to do that. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You are as timid as a mouse. If you don't have the courage, then I think you are the ant. Chapter 4479. Xueqi, your husband has gone too far. Yen Hu looked at Xueqi. Xueqi shook her head. I don't think he's wrong. It's you who challenged me first. All right, you've said so much. Don't you just want to attack me? I'll give you the chance. Lin Xian sneered coldly. Both of you, come at me together. You don't have the qualifications to make me attack you. Go and teach him a lesson, but don't kill him. Otherwise, Xueqi will be sad. Yen Hu sneered coldly. The old servant walked over from behind him. Lad, you want me to teach you a lesson? He stretched out his hand, which was surrounded by laws, and it seemed like a cage that descended from the sky. He was a Saint King who had cultivated for a long time. Now that he attacked with his full power, his opponent wouldn't be able to resist him. He wouldn't kill him, but he would break his limbs and teach him a lesson. Xueqi furrowed her brows. This old man was too ruthless. However, she wasn't worried about Lin Xian. Lin Xian was someone who could defeat her, and his body had become even more powerful. Buzz. Lin Xian also punched out, and his fist turned into a sun. Boom. The old servant's hand shook, and it shattered. The old man's expression changed drastically. He was so powerful. He quickly retreated. However, it was already too late. Lin Xian attacked him with his palm, once again. Since his opponent wanted to kill him, Lin Xian didn't hold back either. His attack engulfed his opponent. Boom. The old man was instantly smashed into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. His shattered body tried to heal, but Lin Xian shot out several rays of sword energy and pierced through him. He was nailed to the mountain peak. Ah, the old servant roared crazily as he couldn't escape. An ant like you, who has lived for several thousand years, is still so weak. Yet you still dare to attack me. I can only say that you don't know the difference between life and death. Lin Xian sneered coldly. He looked at Yen Hu and said, Your servant is trash. Why don't you attack him yourself? Yen Hu's expression was gloomy. He had wanted to teach his opponent a lesson, but he hadn't expected that his opponent was so powerful. His old servant was a Saint King who had made a name for himself 100 years ago. Yet he still wasn't a match for his opponent. Even if he wanted to make a move, he wasn't confident that he could succeed. So he said, Very good, kid, I'll remember you. Let my men go. I want to leave. You want to leave? Fine, cut off your arms and give me your storage ring. Then I'll spare your life. Lin Xian said. What? Yen, who was instantly enraged. Say that again. The other party actually wanted to hurt him? He even wanted to snatch his storage ring. Did this guy want to die? Lin Xian snorted. What? Don't you understand what I'm saying? Since that's the case, I'll do it myself. With a sweep of his hand, he charged forward. The other party had already made a move on him, so how could he hold back? If this was not the first peak, he would have slapped the other party to death long ago. Lin Xian's palm was as golden as a god, and as heavy as a mountain. The void could not withstand it at all. Yan Hu bellowed, shooting out a flaming battle diagram. Divine chains of laws surged out from it to block the attack. But in an instant, it shattered. His arms broke, and he let out a painful roar. Lin Xian had no intention of stopping. His palm was like the sky as it pressed down again. Yan Hu's body was bent, and with a plop he knelt on the ground. His entire face became ferocious. Damn it, he was going crazy. How could the other party be so powerful? I'll hand over my storage ring, and you'll stop. He did not dare to fight again. Lin Xian retracted his palm and sneered. You should have done this earlier. Here. Yan Hu took out his storage ring and threw it to Lin Xian. Then he quickly fled with his old servant. He did not leave the first peak immediately. Instead, he went to look for the elders guarding the first peak. After finding them, he said, I'm going to kill that guy. Those elders were also hesitant. One of them said, Young Master Yanhua, we also want to attack him, but Princess Xueqi is by his side, so we can't do it. If we do, we'll break the rules. If the other party catches us, we'll probably be punished. Another elder said, Young Master Yanhua, your sixth uncle is currently cultivating in seclusion in the first peak. If he comes out of seclusion, he'll definitely be able to injure that kid. Really? Sixth uncle is going to break through. Yan Hua's eyes lit up. He said, Okay, I'll wait for sixth uncle to break through. Keep an eye on that kid. Don't let him leave. The elder smiled and said, Don't worry, although we can't fight, we can't do anything. Although we can't do anything, we can still find a reason to temporarily seal the first peak. The elders quickly moved and formed a formation to seal the first peak. On the other side, Lin Xian and Xueqi came to a cave abode and began to cultivate. The spiritual energy here was too abundant, and there were mountains of natural treasures around. In addition, Lin Xian had just obtained 2 storage rings from Yanhua. It could be said that the resources here were very abundant. He took out all the natural treasures and then used the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul quickly devoured them. The spiritual energy and power in the sky turned into a vortex and quickly surged into Lin Xian's body. Xueqi, who was next to him, was also stunned. The absorption of this power was too strong. She didn't dare to. Even if Lin Xian had a divine body, he wouldn't dare to do it. She was really worried about Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian didn't care. The awakening of the Great Dragon Sword Soul would require more power every time it leveled up. Now that he had finally found a spirit vein like the first peak, how could he miss it? So much so that the first peak shook violently. What happened? The expressions of the elders of the first peak also changed. Even the people who were cultivating in the other cave abodes were also very confused. They thought that the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. At this moment, the sky darkened and countless lightning bolts gathered. Was he going to break through? They looked into the distance. Yanhu was also happy. That direction was where his sixth uncle was. In other words, his sixth uncle was going to break through. That was great. There was a middle-aged man in the cave in that direction. However, he suddenly opened his eyes. What was going on? The power around him was quickly disappearing. Who was using him? She looked into the distance. At the same time, a formation appeared in Xueqi's cave abode and concealed all information. At this moment, the lightning bolts fell. Lin Xian let out a long roar and fought against them. Boom, 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 boom. The people of the first peak were very quiet. They were all waiting silently. Because of the formation, they didn't know who was breaking through. Yan Hua and the others believed that his sixth uncle was breaking through. The elders were also surprised. Was he going to break through to the middle stage of the great sage king realm? These people were too shocked. Looking at the appearance of the lightning tribulation, it was very terrifying. After waiting for a long time, the lightning bolts that filled the sky disappeared. That was great. He succeeded. Yan Hua was happy. His sixth uncle was going to become a middle stage great sage king. His strength would definitely undergo an earth-shattering change. A middle stage great sage king could kill an early stage great sage king with one punch. He couldn't wait to fly over and wait outside. Chapter 4480. After a short while, the cave opened, and a middle-aged man walked out. Congratulations, sixth uncle, for successfully breaking through and reaching the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Yan Hua quickly bowed. However, the middle-aged man frowned and said, "Who told you that I broke through?" What? Yan Hua was stunned. He looked carefully and found that his sixth uncle was still at the middle stage of the Holy King realm, although his aura was much stronger than before. His cultivation was not at the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Then, who was breaking through? He had seen the lightning strike with his own eyes. The middle-aged man shook his head and said, "I don't know. It should be another elder." The middle-aged man was Yan Hua. Confusion appeared in his eyes. Previously, when he was cultivating, he did feel a strange change. Then he asked, "Why did you come to find me?" "Sixth uncle, there is a brat who is too hateful. Help me teach him a lesson." He then recounted the events that had transpired, with some embellishment. After Yan Hua heard this, he was furious. "Are you trying to challenge us by acting so recklessly? I want to see what makes him so arrogant." He was already in a bad mood when his cultivation power was taken away by someone else. Now that such a thing had happened, he naturally had to take action. In her opinion, no matter how strong a holy venerate was, could he be stronger than her? On the other side, the array in Xue Qi's cave slowly disappeared. Xue Qi was waiting anxiously. Finally, she saw a figure walk out. Great, he had broken through. She felt that Lin Xian's cultivation had reached the peak of the holy venerate realm. He would be a half-step holy king if he took another step forward. Lin Xian was also very satisfied. He felt that his power had become stronger than before. Now, if he met Xingchen again, he could probably destroy his opponent's astral soul with a slap. "Let's go back," Lin Xian said. This time, the great dragon sword soul had absorbed too much power, causing the power of the first mountain to weaken greatly. It would not be effective if he continued to stay here. Moreover, the changes in the first mountain would definitely be noticed by others. Lin Xian did not want his secret to be discovered. So he prepared to leave. Xue Qi, who was beside him, nodded. The two of them left the cave and walked outside. "Brat, you finally came out. I thought that you would hide in there forever." At that instant, an icy voice could be heard. Lin Xian frowned and looked to the side. There were three people, Yan Hua and the old man. There was also a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man's aura was even stronger. "Oh, what's wrong? Are you here to give me a storage ring? This time, it won't be as simple as breaking your arms. Damn it, do you want to die?" Yan Hua recalled how the other party had broken his arms, forced him to kneel, and even gave away his storage ring. He was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He said, "Sixth uncle, it's this detestable brat. You must help me teach him a lesson." Lin Xian smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll test out my current strength." Lin Xian walked out and looked at the middle-aged man. He said, "You want to attack me?" "You can't afford it. Oh, I heard that a very arrogant battle servant had come to the 1,000 Mountain Cave. Today, I want to see what makes you so arrogant. Yan Hua was also angry. He took a step forward, and an extremely cold light appeared in his hand. It was as if there were billions of rays of light. His palm transformed into a demonic dragon that swept forward like a mountain range. The demonic dragon bared its fangs and claws and charged toward Lin Xian. It had to be said that Yan Hua's strength was much stronger than Yan Hua and the other two. He was also a terrifying existence in the early stage of the Saint King realm. His strength had increased greatly after this closed-door cultivation. Therefore, he was very confident that he could kill Lin Xian with one blow. Buzz! A ray of sword chi appeared in Lin Xian's hand. The sun's sword slashed forward. It collided with the opponent's palm. Suddenly, the surrounding mountains shook violently. Countless formations flickered in and out of existence. After the blow, Lin Xian was as steady as Mount Tai. On the opposite side, the middle-aged man's face was completely ugly. He felt that his entire arm was numb. He could block Sixth Uncle's blow. Yan Hua's eyes almost popped out. He knew how terrifying his sixth uncle was. No one in the younger generation could compete with him. But this kid blocked all of his attacks. Sixth uncle. This kid has some kind of super strong body refining technique. Don't fight him in close combat. Yan Hua reminded him. Sixth uncle nodded after hearing this. So that's why you're so arrogant. But you're too naive. No matter how strong you are, you can't compete with a real Saint King. Watch me kill you with my magical power. He stretched out his hand again and kept forming seals. Countless laws condensed and formed a huge seal. Giant rock palm. As soon as it was slapped out, the surroundings were petrified. This guy was a rock element expert. The whole sky seemed to have turned into a cage and pressed down. Open for me. Lin Xian roared and took a step forward. The invincible sword was slashed out by him. His hands opened and closed, and the divine fire turned into a sword shadow with the power to split heaven and earth. Boom, boom, boom. The rock streaked across the sky, and cracks appeared. Then it was torn apart. The invincible sword fell. Sixth uncle's pupils constricted, and he threw out two shields to block. He blocked the invincible sword. However, at this moment, the invincible sword attacked again. This was also a terrifying magical power that was not weaker than the man-ruler's seal. With a single blow, the opponent was sent flying. The armor on Sixth Uncle's body was shattered, and a crack appeared, almost splitting him in half. He couldn't believe it. Yan Hua was so scared that he almost knelt on the ground. His sixth uncle was defeated too. Thinking of this, he kept retreating, trying to escape. Lin Xian sneered. He stomped his foot and activated the 10 ultimate sword formation, sealing the surroundings. You want to escape now? I said, take my wrath. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? At this moment, Sixth Uncle rushed out. His whole body turned into rock, and there were even flames burning on his body. He formed a flaming rock giant that was incomparably powerful, soaring flaming rock fist. This was his famous consummate skill, and no one of the same level could block it. Buzz. Lin Xian waved his arm and threw out the mountain embracing seal. A primordial demon mountain fell from the sky, as if it was going to crush the heavens. The terrifying fist was blocked, and then cracks appeared on his arm. Sixth Uncle's body shook violently, and then it kept shattering. He finally couldn't resist under the primordial demon mountain. Lin Xian threw out the mountain embracing seal again, and the two primordial demon mountains completely suppressed his opponent. His strength is not bad, but that's all, Lin Xian said indifferently. He turned his gaze and looked at Yan Hua. Yan Hua almost knelt down. He said in horror, "What are you trying to do? Kid, I'm warning you, don't attack me. Otherwise, our patriarch won't spare you." Chapter 4481. Now that you know how to be afraid, you still dare to threaten me? I already said that if you attack me again, I won't just cripple your arms. I will cripple you. What? Yen Ho was alarmed, and he quickly went to ask the elders for help. Xueqi wanted to cripple him, which was even more terrifying than killing him. The old servant wanted to retreat and ask for help. Xueqi waved her hand, and frost filled the sky and sealed the old servant in ice. The old servant's eyes widened. He was also a Saint King expert, but he couldn't even withstand a single blow from Xueqi. The 10 Ju swords appeared in Lin Xian's hand, and they pierced through the old man's body. The great dragon sword soul's power roared, and it shattered the old man's laws and power. Yen Hu roared, and despair appeared on his face. He felt that his power had instantly disappeared. No, he had gone crazy. Lin Xian waved his hand and unleashed a seal to seal the other party. Then he threw him into the great sage tower. In the next instant, he crippled Yen Hua and sealed him again. As for the old servant, he directly killed him and turned him into a bloody mist. Then he burned him with the 9 suns' divine flame. Husband, what do you plan to do with these 2 people? Xueqi asked. Lin Xian said that he would talk about it after they returned. He waved his hand and removed the formation, and the 2 of them walked outside. They went to the foot of the mountain. The 3 elders guarding the mountain were stunned. Why did this guy come out? Did Yen Hu not go to cause trouble for this guy? Although they were confused, they had to remove the seal and let the 2 of them leave safely. After they returned, they went to Xueqi's residence. Xueqi said that if they killed them, the Holy Heaven's old ancestor would know about it, and it would be very troublesome. Lin Xian nodded. He said that he didn't plan to kill them, and that he would go out in 2 days and find an uninhabited mountain range to suppress them for several thousand years. No one would be able to find them. Do you want to go out? Xueqi asked. Lin Xian nodded and took out a map from his storage ring. The map was emitting a faint radiance at this moment. He had snatched this map from the Purple Spirit Wonderland's people. The fragment of the map had been sitting quietly in his storage ring. In the past few days, he had begun to shine. Lin Xian guessed that something must have happened to the place marked on the map. Therefore, he was prepared to investigate. But before that, Lin Xian still had some things to do. Xueqi, tell me more about the Stellar Saints, he said. Xueqi nodded. She said that Star Saint King was a member of the Star Clan. However, his status in the clan wasn't high, so he could only stay in the heavenly abode. However, in the paradise, his status was not low. He was an elder, and his cultivation had reached the middle stage of Holy Venerate. It was said that he would soon reach the late stage. Are you going to attack him? She also knew that it was the sacred star monarch who had captured Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "That's right, this guy dared to injure my senior brother, and even dared to steal the peerless sword. I'll deal with him myself sooner or later." However, now was not the time. Indeed, although Lin Xian had reached the peak of Holy Venerate, the sacred star monarch was not simple. He was an extremely terrifying existence in the middle stage of Holy King realm, and he was even about to break through. Therefore, Lin Xian felt that it was best to break through and become a half-step Holy King before dealing with this guy. You said that he had 3 disciples? Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. Then, I'll let him know what it feels like to have his disciples captured. I know. Xueqi ordered someone to call the 3 disciples over. Half a day later, the 3 people arrived. They stood in front of the main hall with puzzled expressions. They didn't know why Princess Xueqi was looking for them. After waiting for half a day, Xueqi didn't appear. However, a young man walked in. They frowned. They naturally knew this guy. It was Lin Xian. The second disciple asked, "Boy, where is Princess Xueqi? Why is she looking for us?" "Hurry up and tell Princess Xueqi that we are here. the third disciple said proudly. Lin Xian glanced at the three people before he sat down boldly. You don't need to wait. Princess Xueqi won't see you. It's me who is looking for you. You? The three disciples were taken aback. The eldest disciple asked, Why are you looking for us? What is it? Lin Xian sneered. You came to Princess Xueqi's residence without permission. How dare you? Kneel down and accept your death. The three people's expressions changed. The eldest disciple said, Hateful. We were invited here. Who can prove that? Lin Xian stood up, and a cold, killing intent emanated from his body. The second disciple said, Boy, you want to take revenge, right? Our teacher captured you and made you a battle servant. Do you bear a grudge against him? Lin Xian nodded. That's right. Doesn't the Star Holy King like to go around suppressing people? I will let him know what it feels like to have his disciples suppressed. You are courting death. Attack. The three people shouted angrily. They naturally knew that they had to leave this place quickly. The three people's speed was very fast. They didn't escape, but charged directly at Lin Xian. One of them struck out with his palms, which were like two mountains. Another person struck out a black hole, which enveloped Lin Xian. The third person formed a seal with his palms, and a terrible storm tore the void into pieces. The eldest disciple, who was the strongest among the three, was already at the beginner stage of the Holy King realm. The other two were half-step Holy Kings. The three of them attacked together, and the momentum was shocking. The place where Lin Xian was completely shattered. The three people looked at this scene and laughed proudly. What peerless genius. I think he's just SOSO. Let's go. The three of them turned around and were about to leave. However, at this time, they realized that a figure had appeared in front of them, blocking their way. How is this possible? The three people's expressions changed drastically. Isn't that the boy? They suddenly turned around and looked at the shattered void. Cold sweat flowed down their backs. That terrifying attack just now didn't hurt him at all. How did he dodge it? Mountain-embracing seal. Lin Xian waved his hand, and an ancient mountain directly fell from the sky, pressing down on the three people. Damn it! The three people roared. Eldest senior brother struck out with his palms, which were vast and could sweep away everything. However, in front of the ancient mountain, his arms were instantly broken. The other two half-step Holy Kings couldn't withstand it, and their bodies instantly turned into a bloody mist. The three people were completely suppressed. Damn boy. Let us go. Believe it or not, when my master comes, he'll tear you into pieces. The three people roared. Lin Xian looked at the three people and sneered. Don't worry, your master will be here soon. He stood up and said in a clear voice, Someone go and tell Star Saint King to come and get his disciple. Soon, a figure rose into the air. Not long after, a roar was heard. This was too much. Star Saint King, carrying the supreme power of the stars, descended from the sky. He strode over. When he saw that his three disciples were suppressed and seriously injured, his eyes instantly turned red with anger. Chapter 4482. Kid, let go of my disciples. Don't you just want to take revenge? Fight me if you have the ability. Don't worry, it will be your turn soon. Lin Xian looked at the other party, his eyes filled with killing intent. I can't let go of your three disciples. They trespassed into Princess Xueqi's residence, so I've decided to cripple them. How dare you? Sacred King Xing Chen roared. Lin Xian waved his hand. Why wouldn't I dare? The mountain-embracing seal exploded, completely crippling the three of them. The three of them fell to the ground and became crippled. The three of them roared, their eyes filled with despair. Master, kill him. Avenge us. Yes, we must tear him into pieces. Sacred King Xing Chen's eyes instantly turned red. It wasn't easy for him to nurture these 3 disciples, especially his eldest disciple, who was already a sacred king. His future achievements were limitless. But now, they were crippled just like that. "You're courting death." Countless stars appeared on sacred King Xing Chen's body, and a terrifying killing intent swept out. Lin Xian took out the Xiantian token. He said, "Can you bear the anger of the Xiantian pavilion? If you attack me?" Sacred King Xing Chen's face became even uglier, but he didn't act rashly. He was so angry. If he didn't have the Xiantian ridge, he would definitely be able to kill Lin Xian with a slap. He snorted, gritted his teeth, and said, "Do you think the Xiantian token can protect you forever? This time, you challenged me first. Even if I attack you, the Xiantian pavilion won't say anything." "Is that so? You can try." Lin Xian didn't care at all. At this time, Xueqi also walked out from the side. She said coldly, "Elder Xingchen, you've gone too far. Your 3 disciples came here without my permission. They deserve to be crippled. As for you, you didn't discipline your disciples well. How should you be punished?" Sacred King Xing Chen's face became even uglier when he saw Xueqi walk out. He knew that if he didn't pay a price today, he wouldn't be able to walk out of here alive. Therefore, he said, "It's my fault for not teaching you well, and I'm willing to accept the punishment." Xueqi nodded and said, "Men, take the lightning code and execute the lightning punishment." Very quickly, someone respectfully took out a grimoire. It was surrounded by lightning. Clearly, it was a terrifying treasure. After Xueqi took it, she let Lei Dian float in the air and said, "Xingchen Elder, accept the lightning punishment." The sacred king of stars knelt on the ground, his back facing the thunder tome. As for Xueqi, she looked at Lin Xian and said, "There are 360 strikes in total. You can execute them personally." Lin Xian nodded. He used the law of thunder. The thunder tome shone brightly and lightning flew out. Every strike was extremely terrifying. Even a saint king could not withstand it and could only allow the lightning to strike. Moreover, Lin Xian used the power of the great dragon sword soul in this lightning. Therefore, after the 360 bolts of lightning struck, sacred King Xing Chen's body was bleeding profusely, and his wounds were unable to heal. He gritted his teeth and stood up, looking extremely ferocious. "Brat, don't think that you can continue to be arrogant just because you have the support of Princess Xueqi and the profound heaven pavilion. Do you see this sword? We have been searching for this person for a long time. Now that I've found news of him, I'll capture him and make him my battle servant. I really want to see your expression when the time comes." The sword he took out was the unparalleled sword. When Lin Xian heard this, he was instantly enraged. His eyes were filled with a terrifying, murderous intent. The other party was still looking for the unparalleled Saint King. How despicable! He took a deep breath and said coldly, In 1 year, I will challenge you to a duel of life and death." 1 year, I will wait. Sacred King Xing Chen roared. He finally had a chance to kill his opponent. No matter how strong his opponent was, how much could his strength increase in a year? His cultivation level was much higher than his opponent's. Not to mention 1 year, he could still kill his opponent in 10 years. Xueqi frowned as she looked at sacred King Xing Chen's back. "Isn't 1 year a little too short?" Lin Xian shook his head. "They have already started looking for my senior brother. I don't have much time." Xueqi said, "Don't worry, I will also help you find your senior brother. I will also keep an eye on sacred King Xingchen. And I will leave this to you. Oh, be careful. He is related to the Star Tribe. I think those people from Ethereal Peak will not let this matter rest. 10 days later, I will leave." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. In the following days, he went into seclusion to adjust his condition to the peak. Then he left. When he left, Xueqi found Sacred King Xingchen again. She did this to prevent Sacred King Xingchen from secretly following and assassinating Lin Xian. As long as Xueqi kept Sacred King Xingchen busy, Lin Xian would not be in danger. Sacred King Xingchen could not leave, but he sneered in his heart. Not only had Sacred King Xingchen offended him, but he had also offended the Star Tribe. Did Sacred King Xingchen think he could be safe? He had already sent the news to Ethereal Peak. Ethereal Peak would definitely send experts to kill Sacred King Xingchen. Ethereal Peak. At this moment, Ethereal Peak was in an uproar. This was because a new quest had been issued. As a disciple of Ethereal Peak, they could accept some missions and carry them out. At this moment, there was a mission. This mission was to kill a person. Countless people were watching because this mission was issued by the Star Tribe. The mission was too simple. It only required them to kill a late-stage Saint Venerable. What a joke. What kind of existence is Ethereal Peak? Is such an ant worthy of us taking action? Some geniuses were disdainful. However, there were also people who said, "You don't know. This guy is the guy who defeated Xingchen in Thousand Mountain Cave." They thought that the Star Tribe issued this mission because of Xingchen. So, it was this guy. Some people nodded and came to a realization. In this way, it could be explained. Although this guy was a late-stage Saint Venerable, his strength was equivalent to a Saint King. To be able to defeat Xingchen, he had some strength. However, I am not interested. Most people shook their heads. There were also some people who had the idea, but did not dare to go. After all, Xingchen's strength in Ethereal Peak was not bad. Since he was defeated, what was the point of others who were weaker than Xingchen going? In the end, 3 people accepted the mission. These 3 were extremely terrifying experts. Their strength was above Xingchen's. When Xingchen saw the 3 people accepting the mission, he nodded his head. However, he still frowned. "Is this okay? I don't want this guy to escape again." An elder at the side laughed. "He is just a young man. No matter how strong he is just an ant in front of Ethereal Peak. The reason for this mission is to train the people of the Ethereal Peak. Moreover, we will also send a middle-stage Saint King to guard him. Even if the first 3 fail, he won't be able to escape." At this moment, a ring on the elder's hand shone. The last array formation appeared, and a message came from it. "There is news from Thousand Mountain Cave. That guy has left the cave. We have also started to move." The 3 experts who accepted the mission got the order and started to move. Chapter 4483. At the same time, a mid-stage Holy King from the Star Tribe also tore open the void and prepared to leave. On the other side, Lin Xian stealthily left the Thousand Mountain Cave and flew at a high speed. He sat on the black earth and turned into a stream of light, shuttling through the void. After walking for about 2 days, he frowned. He felt a pair of eyes staring at him. Someone was coming. He knew that Holy King Xingchen would definitely not let it go. He wondered if it was someone from the Heavenly Cave or Misty Peak. He hoped that person's strength would not disappoint him. Looking at the mountains below, his figure flashed, and he landed in the mountain range. After entering, Lin Xian killed a demon beast and began to make delicious food. Little White also jumped out and picked some spirit fruits in the surroundings. Eating happily, the 2 of them did not seem to know that danger was coming. At this moment, the surrounding forest became oppressive. Countless gusts of wind swept through, and the entire sky was about to press down. A figure appeared on top of a large tree and looked down. Ants were ants. They did not even know that they were about to die. A cold voice came from above. "Is he here?" Lin Xian glanced at the other party and said indifferently, "Tell me your name. I don't kill nameless people." "I am Holy King Barbarian Spirit." A tall figure descended, and the ground cracked open, spreading in all directions. This person's physique was very terrifying. It emitted a metallic luster as if it was made of precious metal. There were endless lines on it. His voice was like thunder, causing the void to tremble. When Lin Xian was sizing up the other party, Holy King Barbarian Spirit was also sizing up Lin Xian. As expected, he was a holy king. I really don't understand. How did you defeat Xingqian? Kneel down now, and I'll give you a quick death. You don't have the right to say such words in front of me. Lin Xian shook his head and said, "Do you need me to give you a handicap of one hand? Kid, you're more arrogant than I thought. However, the consequences of angering me will be very miserable." Buzz. Before he finished speaking, Barbarian Spirit turned into a bolt of lightning and charged over. It seemed that he wanted to fight Lin Xian in close combat. As the palm fell, it was surrounded by divine chains of laws. The void was torn apart in an instant. Hundreds of black holes were formed, trying to devour Lin Xian. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. He punched out and transformed into a golden crow. Boom! A loud sound rang out, shaking heaven and earth. Sacred King Barbarian Spirit was sent flying. His arm was numb, and his body felt like it was about to split open. His eyes were wide open. What a strong physique. Was he really just a saint? He couldn't believe it. Lin Xian strode over with the man-ruler seal in his hand. "I am indeed a saint venerable. You can't defeat me because you are too weak." "If I were a saint king, I could kill you with a single glance. You're courting death. I was just careless just now." Sacred King Barbaric Spirit roared at the sky as a terrifying aura erupted from his body. His physique had also become stronger, and his figure had also become taller than before. "I am a berserker spirit, and the power of my bloodline is not something you can imagine. Go to hell, brat." He turned into an even more terrifying streak of radiance, carrying unparalleled power as he slaughtered his way over. So, what if he was a berserker spirit? Lin Xian also charged over. The two of them fought in close combat, and the man-ruler seals swept out in all directions. After exchanging 3 blows, Sacred King Barbaric Spirit was sent flying and spat out blood. Cracks appeared on his body, and he kept swaying. Damn it, how is this possible? His eyes instantly turned red. No one had ever dared to compete with him in terms of physique. A saint venerable had injured him. He couldn't believe it. "What kind of physique did you cultivate?" "Fine, I'll let you know before you die. I cultivate the divine Nine-Yang body. The divine Nine-Yang body. It was one of the legendary super physiques in the galaxy." Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's eyes instantly turned red. This was the legendary physique. He didn't expect this brat to have it. "You're just a battle servant. How can you have such a peerless divine physique? Give me the cultivation method of the divine Nine-Yang body, and I can spare your life." He was really envious. He was about to go crazy. Although he was a berserker spirit and had a strong physique, however, it was still incomparable to this legendary physique. If he could obtain the cultivation method of the divine Nine-Yang body, who would be his match in close combat in the future? "With just you want to have ideas about the Nine-Yang divine body?" Lin Xian smiled. "The reason why I told you about my physique is because I know that you will definitely die." If he wasn't confident, Lin Xian wouldn't have revealed his secret. Divine fire continued to spread on his body, and he turned into a golden god of war. Crack! It seemed that he had to use some real methods. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit also activated his bloodline and took out a mace from his storage ring. It was as big as a mountain. Boom! This attack was like a mountain. The sky and earth directly collapsed. No one could escape. However, at this moment, Lin Xian also struck out with the mountain-embracing seal. Descending from the sky, an immemorial demonic mountain directly pressed down. The mace instantly bent, and with a cracking sound, it shattered. Sacred King, barbaric spirit, was forced back and vomited blood. Damn it, his physique was so strong, and he also knew a peerless divine ability. He knew that he was no match for him and wanted to retreat. Lin Xian stomped his foot and charged forward. You still want to leave now? He struck out with the man-ruler seal again, like a god descending. Get lost! As Sacred King barbaric spirit retreated, he stretched out his hand and threw the surrounding mountains over. Dozens of mountains fell from the sky, causing the entire world to turn dark. Invincible sword, a sword light, flashed and split the world in half. Huge rocks fell from the sky. A crack appeared between Sacred King barbaric spirit's brows, and then his body was split in half. He let out a painful roar. Damn it! How could his opponent's sword chi be so terrifying? Barbaric spirit's secret technique. His body quickly healed, and then he roared. Endless blood-red runes appeared on his body and burned quickly. Then, a soul phantom appeared. This was not a soul attack, but an ancestor phantom formed by his bloodline. It was a battle spirit between heaven and earth, with a giant axe in hand. It charged forward. Let's see how you fight. Sacred King barbaric spirit sneered. With his family's secret technique, he could fight against someone more terrifying than him. The attack fell with an incomparably huge pressure. This attack seemed to be able to split Lin Xian in half. Lin Xian struck out with the undying sword. At the same time, the mountain-embracing seal and the man-ruler seal attacked together. With a bang, the battle spirit was torn into pieces. Sacred King, barbaric spirit's body, was shattered again. He became terrified. Don't kill me, I'm just here to accept the mission. He was finally afraid. He had used his strongest secret technique, but he still couldn't kill his opponent. This time, other than me, there are two people who accepted the mission. They are stronger than me. Let me go, and I'll tell you who they are. I don't need to know who they are. Anyone who dares to kill me will go to hell. Lin Xian's voice was cold as he walked over. A sword shadow appeared in his hand, and he slashed forward, destroying Sacred King barbaric spirit's body and soul. After taking Sacred King barbaric spirit's storage ring, Lin Xian soared into the sky and left this place. Half a day later, a figure descended from the sky and floated in midair. He was wearing a white robe that was spotless. 3 flying swords circled around him, making him look like a sword immortal. Chapter 4484. The white-robed figure frowned when he saw that the Holy King Manling had fallen. Is that Holy Venerate really that powerful? His expression turned grave. He realized that the Holy King Manling's body had been completely shattered. Obviously, it was the result of a close combat battle. That kid's physique is even stronger than the Holy King Manling's. However, the white-robed figure did not retreat. Instead, he said, "Interesting. Manling, I'll avenge you." He turned into a beam of sword light and disappeared into the void. At night, the stars shone brightly, and the moon hung high in the sky, making the ground extremely bright. Lin Xian sat cross-legged in the forest, absorbing the power of heaven and earth to cultivate. 3 days have passed. Haven't the people of Ethereal Peak found me yet? Thinking of this, he shook his head slightly and took out the map. At this moment, the light on the map shone even brighter. Lin Xian held the map and carefully sensed it. He felt that there was something summoning him in a certain direction. Suddenly, his eyes flashed, and he put away the map. In the next moment, he retreated backward. The array around him was broken, and a beam of light shot towards where he was originally at like lightning. It slashed that place into nothingness. Lin Xian had already come to the side. He focused his gaze and realized that the lightning was a flying sword. It was the size of a palm and emitted a cold light. Sword-wielding technique. He frowned slightly. That's right. Quite a lot. A figure descended from the sky and said coldly. It was a white-robed figure. 2 flying swords circled around him. At the same time, the flying sword from before also flew back to his side. The 3 flying swords kept circling around him. He was like a sword god, descending forcefully. You must be Lin Xian. I didn't expect you to be able to kill the holy King Manling, but unfortunately you met me. Remember, my name is the Flying Sword Holy King. Don't forget my name when you report to the King of Hell. With a wave of his hand, the 3 flying swords instantly flew over, piercing through everything with an unparalleled aura. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian struck 3 consecutive palms on the flying swords. The flying swords trembled and were deflected, piercing through the mountains beside him. Hundreds of mountains collapsed instantly. On the other hand, Lin Xian's body glowed with radiance. Similarly, the 10 ultimate swords appeared in his hands. Since you're a swordsman, I'll use my sword skills to finish you off. Endless sword chi rushed out of Lin Xian's body and swept out in all directions. It was like a green lotus blooming, enveloping the entire world. You want to compete with me in swordsmanship? He was overestimating himself. The flying sword Saint King smiled. His grade 3 flying sword was an extremely powerful sacred artifact. Furthermore, it had been by his side since he was young and had been nurtured. It could be said that it was even more nimble than his arms. Furthermore, those 3 flying swords were capable of slicing through the body of a sacred king barbarian spirit. In other words, no matter how strong the other party's physique was, he was confident that he could break through it. The 3 flying swords tore through the void like golden lightning and shot towards Lin Xian's 3 vital points. Lin Xian's expression was cold as he displayed the 10 extinction swords. The great dragon sword spirit in his body circulated. 9 suns opened the sky. The sword slashed down and collided with the 3 flying swords. With a cracking sound, the 3 flying swords were sent flying by the sword. The sword chi did not stop and continued to descend. How was this possible? The flying sword Saint King's pupils shrank. He wanted to escape, but it was too late. After the sword slashed, his soul was destroyed. Even in death, he could not believe that Lin Xian had killed him with a single sword slash. With a wave of his hand, another storage ring flew back to him. These ethereal peak experts had many treasures in their storage rings. Lin Xian was very satisfied. At the same time, he looked around and stared at the 3 flying swords. They could withstand the 9 suns, splitting the sky without shattering. It seemed that they were made of special materials. He reached out his hand and formed a golden cloud to grab the 3 flying swords. The flying swords resisted, and sword chi rushed into the sky. However, Lin Xian suppressed them and activated his heavenly secret divine eye to erase the soul imprint on them. Lin Xian threw them into the storage ring. He continued on his journey. This time, he flew for 2 days before stopping. Then he took out the Great Sage Pagoda, and 2 figures fell out from it. They were Yan Hua and Yan Kui. As soon as they appeared, they roared crazily. Damn brat. You crippled us. You're dead meat. Our patriarch will not let you off. Lin Xian slapped them twice. Their faces were smashed, and they did not dare to speak again. However, Lin Xian's gaze swept across the area. Soon he found a place. It was a small hill. It was very desolate, and there were not many plants on it. There were also some monsters around. They had already escaped. Lin Xian flew there and nodded. He was very satisfied. From now on, the 2 of you will stay here. What do you mean? Yan Hua and Yan Kui asked in horror. Lin Xian waved his hand and directly pierced the ground beside the small hill, forming a deep abyss. He said that he would suppress the 2 of them here for 3,000 years. No, you can't do this. The two of them roared crazily. They were really afraid. If Lin Xian wanted to kill them, their patriarch would probably know and come to rescue them. However, if Lin Xian suppressed them here, no one would know about it. 3,000 years. Just thinking about it made them want to die. They might as well kill him with a single sword strike. The two of them struggled and wanted to beg for mercy, but they were slapped into the abyss by Lin Xian. Then the ground shattered. Lin Xian cast an array formation and directly sealed the place. He looked into the distance and pierced through the void. He thought that the third person should be arriving soon. His body rose into the air. Behind him, a figure with a murderous look flashed past quickly. He had locked onto him. The corners of that person's mouth curled up into a cold smile. However, in the next moment, he frowned. "Are you trying to escape?" He sped up and chased after him. After chasing for half a day, he finally arrived above a lake. The lake was like the sea, and it even carried an extremely cold aura. "Is this the place you chose to die?" The third figure descended. It was a burly man with a face full of beard. His expression was cold. He waved his hand and took out a large cauldron. The large cauldron was simple and unadorned. It was square in shape, and there were the faces of monsters on all four sides. It was actually the weapon of a Saint King. After the burly man arrived, he immediately attacked without saying anything. The four beasts' cauldron instantly enlarged and pressed down like a demonic mountain. The ground below kept breaking open, unable to withstand the aura of the Saint King at all. This weapon was even more terrifying than the flying sword from before. Looking at the descending four-beast cauldron, Lin Xian let out a long roar and slammed his palm into the sky. With a clang, his palm hit the four-beast cauldron, and the large cauldron kept shaking. The burly man's body trembled. What a terrifying power! He shouted coldly and formed a seal with his palms. The four-beast cauldron was as stable as Mount Tai as it pressed down again. Countless rays of light appeared, piercing through the void like sharp swords. Lin Xian's body wobbled as he was hit by those powers. He was forced to retreat continuously. However, those attacks only left some marks on his body. They were unable to break his body at all. So powerful, the burly man was stunned. This is the weapon of a Saint King, but it can't break through his body? Chapter 4485. Buzz. Lin Xian kept waving the 9-yang divine palm. It was like thousands of suns breaking through the void. He fought with the Saint King's weapon with his bare hands. After a series of battles, the burly man's face was pale. Using the Saint King's weapon consumed a lot of energy, but he realized that his opponent's divine power was like the sea. He swallowed 2 pills and gritted his teeth. He was really angry. He held the cauldron with one hand and charged forward. 4 demonic beast phantoms appeared on the cauldron. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, wanting to devour Lin Xian's soul. Dragon-shaped sword chi rushed out of Lin Xian's body and slashed at the demonic beast phantoms. The 4 demonic beast phantoms let out mournful roars. He fled again and hid in the cauldron. Let me show you what a true saint artifact is. Lin Xian took out the Great Destruction Spear. A terrifying demonic aura surged in all directions. The burly man gasped. It was so terrifying. It felt much more terrifying than his 4-beast cauldron. This guy actually had a saint artifact too. He quickly retreated and distanced himself. However, the Great Destruction Spear attacked. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The burly man could only hide in the 4-beast cauldron and defend. The void outside was completely torn apart and turned into nothingness. Only a huge cauldron floated between heaven and earth. Lin Xian snorted coldly and flew up. He clenched his hand into a fist and threw out tens of thousands of punches. Each punch landed on the 4-beast cauldron. The four-beast cauldron kept shaking. If it wasn't a saint artifact, it would have been broken long ago. Even so, it was still beaten by Lin Xian until it was dim and dull and trembled nonstop. After an unknown number of punches, Lin Xian finally stopped. The surrounding void was still shattering. The four-beast cauldron in front of him was completely motionless. There was no movement inside. Lin Xian walked forward and looked inside. He found that the burly man hiding inside had long been torn apart and turned into a bloody mist. Although the four-beast cauldron was a Saint King's weapon, it blocked Lin Xian's punches and did not shatter. However, Lin Xian's strength was so great that some of them still managed to enter. In addition to the continuous attacks, the burly man inside finally couldn't take it anymore and was killed by the force. Lin Xian took the four-beast cauldron and entered the great sage tower. He wanted to refine this sage king weapon with all his might. Lin Xian first used the great dragon sword spirit to destroy the remnant soul. Logically speaking, it was impossible to refine a sage king's item. However, Lin Xian could easily destroy the soul imprint on it. Lin Xian used his heaven-level ability to plant his soul imprint. He felt a connection between himself and the four-beast cauldron. With a wave of his hand, the souls of the four beasts flew out and roared toward the sky. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up. This was even more terrifying than the three flying swords. Although it wasn't as powerful as the Great Destruction Spear, it was still a Saint King's weapon. It could be considered one of his trump cards. Lin Xian checked the storage rings of a few people and found that there were indeed many spiritual herbs, natural treasures, and dragon marrow inside. After sorting these things out, Lin Xian continued to provide the great dragon sword spirit with power. At this moment, a map suddenly flew out of the storage ring and bloomed with a bright light. Countless runes appeared on it and intertwined to form a mark. Lin Xian's eyes lit up when he saw this place. He seemed to have received a summon. It seemed that the thing in the map should be coming out soon. He had to go quickly. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless. His body swayed, and he soared into the sky and flew into the distance. The limitless sea. There were raging waves here that stretched as far as the eye could see. Legend had it that this was a place where supreme experts fought in ancient times, and the earth shattered, forming the sea. It was said that endless secrets were buried here. Over the countless years, many people had come to explore, but no one dared to go to the depths of the sea. This was because there were even more terrifying sea demons that were not weaker than human powerhouses. They were also extremely powerful existences among the 10,000 ancient races. At this moment, there were a few palaces floating over in the sky above the limitless sea. The divine chains that surrounded them surged with a terrifying aura. Figures entered and exited the palaces one after another. At this moment, there was a throne in one of the palaces. There was a woman sitting on it. She wore a long dress and a half mask on her face. Her eyes seemed to be able to control the world. There were a few tails behind her. She shook gently, and the void collapsed. At this moment, the mysterious woman with the half mask looked at the figures kneeling before her. She asked, "How is it?" "Elder Tianyin, don't worry. The formation is almost done. It won't be long before we can go down to investigate." After hearing this, the three women nodded their heads and revealed a satisfied smile. Someone from the side walked over and said, "Elder, the people from the Flying Rain Grotto and Purple Spirit Grotto are here too. Should we make a move in advance and get rid of them?" "No hurry. Let them set it up first. It won't be too late to make a move when the thing really appears," Elder Tianyin said calmly. So they were from the Green Hill Grotto. The other palaces should belong to the Purple Spirit Grotto and the Flying Feather Grotto. He wondered what they were doing in this sea. However, he could see that there were rays of formation light flickering at the bottom of the sea. These people were setting up a supreme formation. At the same time, a figure flew over from the distant sea. Lin Xian looked at the endless sea and frowned slightly. He could feel that the light of the map was getting stronger. Obviously, the destination was in this sea. When he arrived, he had already seen a tall stone tablet by the sea. On it, the words "Limitless Sea" were written. He had even heard of a legend about the limitless sea. However, as he flew into the sea, there were fewer and fewer people. In the end, there were no longer any martial artists who dared to stay here. However, after flying for a while, he frowned as he realized that there were more and more people in front of him. There was even the aura of a sage king. Not only that, he could also sense the power of the formation. There was more than one. There were people. Lin Xian was surprised. Could it be that they had the same purpose as him? Lin Xian used the heavenly secret god eyes, and a pair of eyes in the sky shrouded the area below. As expected, he discovered that there were many people, and these people's auras were very powerful. Lin Xian carefully hit the map and flew carefully. He bypassed most of the people and flew towards a sea. It should be here. Lin Xian prepared to enter the sea. With a flash, he entered. After entering, he found that there were also people under the sea. Lin Xian's physique was fearless as he opened a barrier. He moved quickly. The people below thought that their companions had come. After taking a look, they realized that they were not from the same sect. "Who are you?" "Oh no, it's an enemy. Attack quickly." Seeing that Lin Xian was not one of them, he roared and stabbed his spear. Chapter 4486. This was a half-step holy king. His attack was like a water dragon, and his long spear swept across. Lin Xian reached out his palm, grabbed the long spear, and blasted it in half. Another palm strike struck out, sending that person flying. That person fell into the depths of the sea, and his body split open and turned into a bloody mist. Damn it! The eyes of the surrounding people instantly turned red. Had one of their companions fallen? Kill him! In an instant, more than a dozen figures charged over from all directions. Many of them were water elemental saints. They used water elemental laws. Their monstrous power had an additional effect here. They turned into water cheelants and charged over. At the same time, 2 water enchantments appeared and suppressed Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body shook, and the 9 suns' divine fire swept out like a sun, sweeping in all directions. Was this kid a fool to use flames in the sea? The surrounding experts sneered, but in an instant, they felt their hair stand on end. Because this flame was too terrifying. All the seawater was instantly evaporated, and an empty space appeared. Not only that, the water cheelants and enchantments they cast were also instantly shattered. 6 figures turned into ashes, and the others were also repelled. Their bodies were charred black, and they were injured by the divine fire. Damn it! How could this guy's flame be so terrifying? This was the boundless sea. Any flame would be extinguished here, but the other party was an exception. Go and invite the Holy King. He was too powerful. These people exclaimed. Soon they formed seals and sent a message. From afar, a figure flew over. It was an old man with the aura of a holy king. At the same time, there were others in the distance. Who was it? How dare you attack the people of the Xiling Grotto Heaven? After the old man descended, he said coldly. There was also a terrifying law of water surrounding his body. Kid, it's you. When the old man saw Lin Xian, he was instantly stunned. He had seen this person before because he had also gone to the martial arts competition and was present. He had seen Lin Xian before. So he was stunned. He didn't expect to be here. Elder, who is this kid? More people came from the surroundings and formed an inescapable net enveloping Lin Xian. The old man laughed. He was just lucky to have married Princess Xueqi. What? This brat married Princess Xueqi? The surrounding people were all stunned when they heard this. They had heard countless stories about Lin Xian, but this was the first time they had seen him in action. Some people's eyes instantly turned red. Someone sneered. So it was like this. He was just a battle servant. What was there to be arrogant about? That's right, brat. You can only stand behind a woman. Without Princess Xueqi's support, can you stand in front of us? Lin Xian glanced at these people, and golden light burst out from his eyes. It turned into a sharp sword and attacked. In an instant, the souls of the 5 figures were destroyed. You can't even withstand a single glance from me. Do you ants have the qualifications to clamor in front of me? A cold voice sounded. The people of the Violet Spirit Chamber turned pale, not daring to say anything. That elder was furious. How audacious! The other party had killed 5 of his disciples in front of him. This was a slap to his face. Brat, you are strong and can defeat young Master Xingqian, but I am not a young man like him. When I dominated the world, you weren't even born yet. So now, go to hell. A huge hand slapped over. And endless seawater formed a huge hand that enveloped Lin Xian. Boom. Lin Xian punched out, and the huge golden hand was like a flame, resisting the attack. With a cracking sound, the huge hand was burned and turned into white mist that spread out in all directions. The elder frowned and retracted his hand. His opponent was indeed able to resist him. Moreover, he was able to use flames at the bottom of the sea. How could a holy venerate have the battle prowess of a holy king? The elder was shocked. However, he soon calmed down. No matter how powerful his opponent was, they were at the bottom of the sea. He was a water-type holy venerate. He could control the entire sea. As he roared, the seawater in the 9 heavens and 10 earths surged and formed a terrifying sword of water with his palm. Kid, let me teach you what a holy king-level divine ability is. The elder revealed a smile. Then he swung his sword. The monstrous sea seemed to have come alive. It let out waves of roars and charged over quickly. Lin Xian's figure flashed and rushed over. The 10 ultimate swords formation appeared on his body, and countless sword chi flew out. At the same time, he took out the 4 beasts cauldron and blasted it forward. The power of the 4 beasts cauldron directly caused a terrifying crack to appear in the seawater. The phantoms of 4 beasts appeared, bearing their fangs and brandishing their claws. Boom! After a series of collisions, the sword of water cracked, and the elder vomited blood and flew backward. His expression became extremely ugly. Damn it, the weapon of a holy king. His body caved in. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with shock. Was he still human? How could he injure their elder? Damn it, the elder roared. It seemed that he was asking for help. At the same time, 2 figures flew over from afar. One of them was a middle-aged woman holding a blue bottle. The other was a gray-haired man with an iron sword on his back. Both of them had the aura of a holy king. When the 2 holy kings arrived, they frowned. You're injured? Who could injure that old man? The elder pointed ahead and said, he wanted to capture that kid. He had endless secrets on him. The 2 holy kings turned their heads. Their eyes pierced through the sea like lightning. In the next moment, they were also stunned. It's him. That kid actually came here? Could it be that 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven had also discovered this secret? They did not know. That kid came here on his own. They were using pills while absorbing the power of water around them to recover. So far, only he had been discovered. No one else from 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven had been discovered. Was it just him? Was he here to die? The middle-aged woman sneered. The man with the iron sword did the same. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Since he was here, he might as well stay. The iron sword holy king swept his sword. This was the law of metal, and it was indestructible. Lin Xian waved his arm, and the 10 ultimate swords formation exploded. Dazzling sword rays flew out and turned into tens of thousands of sword rays. The iron sword was blocked, and it swayed nonstop. The iron sword Holy King's face changed. What a terrifying power. He seemed to have felt the law of metal as well. A young kid like him wanted to overturn the heavens? The Aquarius Holy King sneered at the side. She waved her blue bottle with both hands, and boundless water gushed out. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms. The human sovereign seal swept out and knocked the bottle away. So powerful. The Aquarius Holy King's face changed drastically. One person could actually fight against the three of them. The elder said, "This kid was too strange. He definitely had the power of a holy Wang Li." It seemed that the three of them had to join forces. The 3 holy kings walked up. The others quickly retreated. This was a battle between holy kings. This kid was too scary. Was he really a young man? He must have some treasures. But don't worry. With the 3 holy kings attacking together, no matter how strong he was, he would die today. Everyone nodded. That's right. They were very confident in the 3 holy kings. Chapter 4487. Lin Xian frowned slightly. The 3 sage kings? He also felt the pressure. Moreover, the most important thing was to find where the thing on the map was. If he guessed correctly, the people from the other grotto heavens should also be looking for that thing. However, those people did not have a map and only knew a rough area of the sea, so they set up a formation and began to search. And he had a map, so he could find that place more accurately. Just as he was thinking, the 3 sage kings attacked together. Monstrous sword Qi, terrifying seawater, and the great Tao treasure bottle all attacked. The power was like the sea, causing everything to collapse. Lin Xian kept dodging. While using the 10 ultimate sword formation to block, he took out the 4-beast cauldron and attacked with monstrous beasts. At the same time, he carefully sensed, and the golden light in his eyes bloomed. After half an hour, a piercing light suddenly burst out from his eyes. He finally found it. A spatial aura appeared on his body. He used the void escape and instantly disappeared. Damn it, did that kid escape? The 3 sage kings roared crazily when their attacks missed. Chase, he's nearby. He can't escape. Activate the formation and seal the entire seabed. The orders were given, and the formation was activated instantly. The 3 sage kings worked together to search. On the other side, a figure appeared in the depths of the sea. As soon as Lin Xian appeared, he continued to fly downwards. Below, there was a submarine canyon. Lin Xian entered the submarine canyon. After entering, he felt a huge pressure, as if it was going to tear him apart. He roared and used his divine body to block it. It was too terrifying. Perhaps it was because he had a divine body. Otherwise, if it were anyone else, they would not be able to come here at all. Ordinary sage kings could not. What exactly is inside? He looked around. The submarine canyon was not big, and there were many dragon veins below. There were a total of 6 dragon veins intertwined with each other. Where they gathered, they formed a mysterious Tao pattern that fluctuated and flickered with a terrifying light. It seemed that the thing should be inside this Tao pattern. Lin Xian used the heavenly secret divine eyes to look. His gaze penetrated everything. The next moment, he saw a key inside. At that moment, the light on the map became even more resplendent. Could it be that what was marked on the map was a key? Lin Xian was shocked. He couldn't figure it out, but he still made a move first and obtained the key. He took out the great dragon sword soul. With one strike, he slashed at the Tao pattern, giving off a clanging sound. This attack did not manage to cut it open. This made Lin Xian even more shocked. This was the great dragon sword soul. Next, he went all out and fought for the time it took, for an incense stick to burn. Only then did he open the Tao pattern. Sweat dripped from his face, and his aura dropped significantly. Continuously using the great dragon sword soul consumed a lot of energy, but fortunately, he was able to open it. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed the key. Then, he quickly swallowed some natural treasures to recover his strength. However, at this moment, a voice came from outside the canyon. "Brat, do you think I won't be able to find you if you hide inside?" This voice was filled with a biting, cold, killing intent, causing Lin Xian's pupils to shrink. It was a sage king, and a mid-stage one at that. Lin Xian raised his head, and his gaze pierced through the void like lightning. He saw many figures standing outside the canyon, and most of them were from the purple spirit grotto heaven. Among them were the three sage kings. In front of them, there was a middle-aged man in armor, standing with his hands behind his back. If this person wasn't from the purple spirit grotto heaven, could he be from the ethereal peak? He knew that the ethereal peak had sent experts to kill him. Weren't there 3 experts? He had already killed them. Now that another one had appeared, it seemed that the ethereal peak was really trying to kill him. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he flew forward. He arrived above the canyon. In front, the man in armor said, "Brat, come back with me. How dare you kill the experts of the ethereal peak? Go back and accept your punishment." He was indeed from the ethereal peak. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He said, "It was the ethereal peak who tried to assassinate me first. I was only retaliating. They deserved to die. As for going back with you, let's see if you have the ability." "You?" The man in armor sneered. "You killed 3 sage king geniuses, but they were all early-stage sage kings. And I'm a mid-stage sage king. If I want to kill them, I can do it with a punch. So, it's just as easy for me to kill you. I advise you to go back with me obediently. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state." "Is that so?" Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and suddenly burst out with power. The 10 ultimate sword formation was activated, and he stabbed out. The terrifying sword light swept across the 9 heavens. Ignorant ant. Seeing that Lin Xian actually took the initiative to attack, the man in armor was furious. Since Lin Xian was courting death, he would fulfill his wish. He struck out with his palm, and endless light appeared between heaven and earth. The starlight in the sky formed a starry sky map, and it pressed down from the sky. Boom, boom. This was an attack from a mid-stage sage king. The starry sky map fell, and the sword chi in the sky was broken. Then, it shrouded Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils shrank, and he retreated, dodging instantly. The place where he was originally standing had completely turned into nothingness. Too strong. Although it was only a difference of 1 realm, the difference between a mid-stage sage king and an early-stage sage king was like night and day. The man in armor was right. A mid-stage sage king could kill an early-stage sage king with a slap. Your speed is not bad. You can actually dodge more attacks, but how many more attacks can you make? You're no match for me at all. The man in armor sneered, and he struck out with another palm. The starry sky map rotated, and it attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian took a deep breath, took out the 4-beast cauldron, and activated it with all his might. The power of the great dragon's sword soul surged out. The 4-beast spirits shone brightly, and the demonic beast phantoms roared into the sky, and a terrifying power exploded between heaven and earth. Feeling this aura, the man in armor frowned. "This is the 4-beast cauldron of our ethereal peak, and you've got it." What shocked him even more was that the power of the 4-beast cauldron was much more terrifying than he had imagined. You can control it so perfectly, so quickly. What kind of superpower is this? He did not know that there was not only the power of the 4-beast cauldron, but also the power of the great dragon sword soul. Lin Xian sneered. You don't deserve to know. You're a mid-stage sage venerable, and you're shamelessly trying to kill me. Is this what Ethereal Peak does? How disappointing. If we're at the same level, I'll kill you like a dog. Useless brat. In front of absolute strength, no matter how strong your talent is. It's useless. Today is the day you die. You're a sage venerable, and you can unleash such power. You must have endless secrets. Once I capture you, all your secrets will be mine. After speaking, the starlight on his body became even more terrifying, forming a starry sky sword. It fell from the sky. Chapter 4488. The seawater continued to split open. The surrounding people from the grotto heaven were also pale. The three Saint Kings also kept retreating. He was too strong. The other party was a realm higher than them, and he was also using the Star Tribe's supernatural power. Even if the three of them went up, they probably wouldn't be able to stop him. In their opinion, Lin Xian was dead meat. It was a pity that Lin Xian's secret was not fated to be with them. Lin Xian used the four-beast cauldron, and 4 demonic beasts charged over. At the same time, the great destruction spear appeared in his hand again. With one strike, monstrous demonic aura surged in all directions, blocking the starry sky map in the sky. I'll also give you a chance. Kneel down now, and I'll cripple you. I can spare your life. Lin Xian looked at the armored man and sneered. The armored man was furious when he heard that. Stupid ant, you have completely angered me. The other party took out 2 Saint King weapons and blocked his attack, making his lungs about to explode. He was a mid-stage Saint King. How much higher was his realm than the other party? At this moment, he was actually helpless against the other party. His killing intent was awe-inspiring. With a wave of his hand, a real starry sky map flew out from between his eyebrows, bobbing up and down. This was a Saint King weapon, and it was extremely terrifying. The moment it appeared, it enveloped the four-beast cauldron and the great destruction spear. Do you think you're the only one who has a Saint King weapon? I'll freeze these 2 Saint King weapons. Let's see what you have to contend with me. Lin Xian felt that the 2 Saint King weapons were affected, as if they were stuck in a quagmire and couldn't withstand it at all. At the same time, he quickly retreated. This was because a starry sky sword came from the sky, and the power it carried was too terrifying. Star's spirit finger, a ray of starlight, appeared in the armored man's hand, circling around his finger. He pointed out with his finger. This was the ultimate technique of Ethereal Peak. It had been used by Stardust before, but the power now was countless times stronger than Stardust. No one was able to block his finger. Perhaps even a Saint King of the same realm would be defeated. So powerful. Lin Xian frowned. He used the Void Escape and quickly dodged. Was this a mid-stage Saint King? It was too strong. There seemed to be a gap in strength that could not be crossed. Did you see that? Brat, this is the difference between us. You can't even withstand a single blow from me. How are you going to fight me? The armored man smiled. Lin Xian's face was gloomy, but he soon smiled. Since that was the case, it seemed like he had to use his trump card. He was prepared to use the great dragon sword soul. Although he had used up a lot of energy earlier, he still had a lot of energy left. However, there were 6 dragon veins in the valley below. If he used the power of the dragon veins, he could definitely use the great dragon sword soul again. With a sway of his body, Lin Xian formed a formation that enveloped the area and directly absorbed the power of the 6 dragon veins. Then he unleashed his great dragon sword soul. A dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, releasing a terrifying radiance. The dragon's roar resounded throughout the sea, causing the endless sea to tremble. The sea demons in the distance all let out terrified roars. The people of the Violet Spirit Grotto narrowed their eyes. Even the armored man furrowed his brows. His eyes were fixed on the great dragon sword soul. What was that? That brat actually had such a treasure. The corners of his mouth curled up. Very well, I'll take it. You dare to have any ideas about this treasure? Lin Xian snorted coldly. With this sword, it'll be your time of death. As soon as he finished speaking, the 6 dragon veins below were completely absorbed. A surge of power poured into Lin Xian's body. With a roar, he waved his great dragon sword soul and slashed forward. Star's spirit finger, the armored man, once again used a terrifying technique. The sky was filled with starlight, shining with terrifying star laws. It flew forward. An earth-shaking sound rang out as the two collided, erupting with a destructive aura. The people of the grotto heavens were all blasted away. The 3 sage kings were also pale as they quickly retreated. Previously, they were still sighing that they didn't have the chance to kill Lin Xian personally. But now they were somewhat glad, because if the 3 of them were to attack, they probably wouldn't be able to block such a terrifying sword. Damn it! In the shattered sea in front, a roar sounded, and everyone hurriedly looked over. In front, the armored man's face was gloomy. There was a crack on his finger, and blood was flowing out. It can't be. The star spirit finger was broken? The 3 sage kings were shocked. That was a supreme technique, and the armored man didn't believe it either. He didn't hold back in that attack just now, and even a mid-stage sage king couldn't block it. But now it was blocked by a sage king. It was simply unimaginable for him to be injured. The armored man roared, and the starlight on his body became even more terrifying. Star chain. The endless starlight transformed into 9 chains that danced in the sky. Then they charged forward. These 9 chains were even more terrifying, and each of them was comparable to a sage king's weapon. At this moment, they swept across heaven and earth. Lin Xian also roared, letting out a dragon's roar. His eyes bloomed with a biting cold light. The great dragon sword soul kept waving, and every sword could split heaven and earth. Boom, boom. The two collided. Countless cracks were torn open. The sky and earth were filled with terrifying laws and destructive aura. The crowd could no longer see the 2 figures. They could only feel that the 2 forces were fighting. After an unknown period of time, the aura slowly disappeared. The sword chi and terrifying starlight that filled the sky disappeared. What was the situation? Everyone watched carefully. Lin Xian stood there with a pale face. His eyes bloomed with a cold light. Opposite him, the armor on the armored man's body was shattered, and countless cracks appeared, and blood flowed. Some places had been pierced, and his body was almost torn apart. How could this be? The people of Xylem Grotto Heaven were all stunned. The armored man's eyes were also filled with horror. He couldn't believe that he had been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated by a sage king. One had to know that there was an insurmountable gap between a sage king and a sage king. It was possible for a sage king to escape from a sage king. However, it was basically impossible to defeat a sage king. Unless it was a supreme secret technique or someone from the Emperor clan, it would be possible. But this kid wasn't from the Emperor clan at all. And at the Sage King realm, the gap between the mid-stage and early stage was even greater than the gap between a Sage King and a Sage King. It could be said that it was even more difficult to fight someone of a higher level. But the other party had done it and crossed the 2 great gaps. What kind of secret was in the other party's body? Why? Was it unexpected? Lin Xian looked at the other party, and a disdainful smile appeared on his face. I said, "You can't do it. The reason why you are now a Sage King is only because you have cultivated for a few thousand years. But even so, you are not my match. Now, I will send you to hell." Lin Xian walked up again. The array beneath his feet flickered, and the great dragon's sword spirit roared again. Damn it, you want to kill me? What a joke. Charge. The armored man retreated while waving his hand. The people of Xiling Grotto Heaven felt their scalps go numb. The other party was a terrifying demon king. I order you in the name of Ethereal Peak. Do you want to disobey the order? The armored man roared crazily. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.